Dongqing dazed for a moment. She obviously didn't expect Emo would bring Tang Beiwei into the car. Tang Beiwei was her original target, and since she was brought on the car by Emo, things were easier. Dongqing gasped a breath of relief. Although her higher-ups said Emo was very difficult to deal with and sent out 2 people at once, she felt the higher-ups were being too careful. Perhaps this would be the easiest mission she would do. Dongqing dazed for a moment. She obviously didn't expect Emo would bring Tang Beiwei into the car. Tang Beiwei was her original target, and since she was brought on the car by Emo, things were easier. Dongqing gasped a breath of relief. Although her higher-ups said Emo was very difficult to deal with and sent out 2 people at once, she felt the higher-ups were being too careful. Perhaps this would be the easiest mission she would do. As the light turned green from red, the Zhang family's black racer was the first to charge across the starting line. Meanwhile, Xiao Gang was the second to go. The 2 racers of the Yun family were the third and fourth. Emo was the fifth. He knew that if he didn't go, Zhang He wouldn't either. To Zhang He, his life was probably more important than blood coral. Emo anticipated right. The last to go was the 2 racers of the Cha family. As expected, Zhang He went in front and blocked Emo. This was mountain racing, and only the starting part was spacious. The road got tighter as the race progressed. Some places only allowed 1 car to pass. Zhang He's speed was very fast. He tailgated closely to Emo's Mercedes while driving a Lamborghini. Emo sneered. Although he followed the 2 racers of Yun family closely, he wasn't able to shake Zhang He away. He didn't know when the Earth Fiend Killer would detonate the bomb, and he also wanted to see the power of this bomb. Although the mountain racing course was very dangerous, the racers were still going very fast. That black driver was far ahead of everyone else. But Xiaogang was slowly being overtaken by a racer of the Yun family. At this moment, they had driven 1/10 of the path. When they were about to go into the most dangerous section of the mountain waste, Emo suddenly sped up his car. Meanwhile, Zhang He was planning to force Emo off the cliff at this place. Emo knew that the moment he started to fight with Zhang He, it would be the time that Hitman attacked. Zhang He held his steering wheel tightly and sneered. "Fight with me? I started doing the mountain racing long time ago when you probably even didn't know what car racing was." He said this to himself, and then suddenly stood down on the accelerator. His car dashed towards Emo's tail. He was confident that he could squeeze Emo into the cliff without anything happening to him. Zhang He's calculations were very accurate. He had calculated that there was a turn ahead and he only needed to accelerate. Before Emo could turn, he could bump Emo off the cliff. Meanwhile, his car could use this repelling force to make a big turn without any effects. He had always been in mountain racing and knew how powerful this dash could be. He also knew that this force couldn't be too strong nor too weak. If too strong, his car would follow off the cliff. If too weak, he wouldn't be able to bump Emo off. Although it was a bit hard, Zhang He believed in his technique. Rumble, the engine of the Lamborghini bursted, carrying out white smoke. Just when Emo was about to turn, it rammed towards Emo's car. As soon as his car touched Emo's car's tail, he would turn the steering wheel. Behind Zhang He, the racer and the hitman of Cha family also dazed. Zhang He obviously wanted Emo's life. This was what they wanted too. At the same time, that Earth Fiend Killer almost detonated the bomb but stopped, thinking that it would save him trouble if someone else would kill Emo. He only needed to detonate the bomb on the car of Xiaogang later. After Zhang He slammed down on the accelerator, it almost instantly caught up to Emo. Before Zhang He could rejoice, he felt something was wrong. Since he caught up, there should have been a collision and Emo would be rammed off the mountain. However, he found out that Emo's car seemed to have suddenly disappeared while his car charged forward without halt. Not good. Emo wanted both sides to end in death. He actually drove his car completely off the course. At this place, there was only enough room for 1 car to pass. Since Emo moved aside, it meant he would fall off the cliff. Zhang He needed to turn sharply, however. As soon as he thought of that, he noticed that his car had went past the cliff. It was over. Zhang He turned and looked at that moment. His mind was full of disbelief. Emo's car only had 2 wheels on the side of the cliff. The other 2 were hanging in midair. How was this possible? How did this car not fall off? But soon, his consciousness disappeared with a loud bang. Zhang He's car drove off the course and crashed. Although Tang Beiwei was nervous, she wasn't scared. She knew her brother's powers. He would definitely be able to handle this. Yimo saw Zhang He fall off the cliff and sneered. You want to colonize me with your petty moves. But he was curious. That killer actually didn't detonate the bomb in the meantime. He simply sent out his flying sword and used it to support the weight of his car. It seemed that his car only had 2 wheels on the roadside. Although his flying sword couldn't hold it very long, it was enough for Zhang He to drive off the cliff. After Zhang He's fall, Yimo drove the car onto the track again before taking back his flying sword. What was this? The Cha family hitman rubbed his eyes. He thought he saw wrong. Yimo clearly drove his car off the road. Why didn't he fall and could even drive back? This was absolutely impossible. However, just when he didn't know what was going on, Yimo's car had already disappeared around the corner. Why aren't you detonating? Hurry, we will retreat as soon as our mission is over. There was the call of his partner on the hitman's phone. Yes, I'll detonate it now. This hitman was depressed. He put his hopes of Zhang He just then, but immediately, this hope was gone and Zhang He lost his life too. The Cha family hitman pressed down on the detonator. Rumble, rumble. There was 2 loud sounds, and the 2 cars of Cha family both fell off the cliff at the same time and erupted into flames before even reaching the bottom. However, these 2 gusts of flames fell to the bottom immediately. Dongqing even managed to make out some flames at the foot of the mountain. She had a bad feeling and immediately called for her partner, but there was no reply in a long time. Not good. Her sixth sense as a hitman told her that this mission was probably a failure and her partner might have been in trouble. She remembered Yimo's faint smile and that whatever attitude. Dongqing shivered. As a guy who could easily kill her partner and catch crossbow arrows, how could he be killed so easily? Ironically, she had been thinking this might be the easiest mission yet. Cold sweat started dripping down on her back. She subconsciously looked at the other 2 cars of the Chow family. She had the urge to go up and see if the bombs were gone. Dongqing subconsciously looked at the people at the foot of the mountain. Everyone was staring at the screen. There were no cameras at the sites of the incidents. The big screen only occasionally showed who was first. She secretly took out her phone and pretended to make a call as she neared the 2 cars of the Chow family parked on the side. The race had started, and no one paid attention to the remaining cars. People only cared about the result of the race. Dongqing neared the car and chose the other side. She squatted and only checked one of the cars. Her heart immediately sunk. The bomb was gone. It must have been put under the 2 cars of the Cha family. Dongqing suddenly felt a cold sense on her back. She put the bombs there herself, and she had been watching these 4 cars. But they were still taken away and put under their own cars instead. She didn't even know about it at all. What sort of ability was this? Dongqing couldn't calm down anymore. She had seen eerie things, but something like this was her first time. Her back sweated uncontrollably. When Yimo came over to shake her hand, had he already known her identity? Instantly, Dongqing drew the conclusion that Yimo had 100% found out who she was and must have had a purpose to shake hands with her. Did he make some sort of mark on her in that short while? Go. Immediately go. She finally understood now why Yimo was going to bring his sister on the car. It was because he already knew who she was and was waiting till the end of the race to look for her trouble. Although Dongqing hadn't been in this career for long, her talent allowed her to succeed 5 assassinations in a short time. One of them was a mafia tycoon. It was very hard. If she succeeded this time, she would immediately get a second orange badge. For any Earth Fiend hitman, any badge was honor and wealth. Once she acquired all of the 7 human badges, she would ascend to Earth-level hitman. But today at this small place in Tandu, she felt fear. Dongqing didn't dare to stay for another minute. She was going to leave Tandu as soon as possible and find a place to burn all of her clothes and then change her clothes before leaving. Although she didn't know what Yimo left on her body, her killer's sixth sense constantly told her she was in danger. Of course, Yimo heard that loud explosion. He sneered but also felt threatened. If he wasn't careful, perhaps the bang would be coming from his car. This explosion would cause him heavy injury even if it didn't kill him. Plus, he had his sister in the car. These Earth Fiend people were really bleak. Of course, Yimo heard that loud explosion. He sneered but also felt threatened. If he wasn't careful, perhaps the bang would be coming from his car. This explosion would cause him heavy injury even if it didn't kill him. Plus, he had his sister in the car. These Earth Fiend people were really bleak. Brother, was the explosion just then from the car of that killer? Of course Tang Beiwei also heard the explosion. Yemo nodded. Yes, that hitman planted the bomb under our car and was discovered by me. I put their bombs back and then they detonated the bombs on themselves. This is called you suffer what you do. Tang Beiwei subconsciously clutched her hands and said after a long while of retrospective fear, these people are so bad, it serves them right. It was too dangerous just then. Then, her face showed worry. Although they avoided it this time, what about next time? Brother, I feel this society is really different from what I saw. Before, I only saw the surface and there were many that I couldn't see. Sigh. Only after experiencing it do I know how scary it is. Tang Beiwei exclaimed. Yemo smiled. He had never felt this place was very safe. Although it was better than the cultivation realm, danger was still everywhere. He had already killed the few people who wanted to kill him. Yemo's car had sped up. On the curved road, Yemo's car was getting faster and faster. It had only been a few minutes before he saw the car in fourth place. It was from the Yun family. At a more spacious place, before this driver could react, Yemo had surpassed him like the wind. The third was Chaogang. Chaogang was just surpassed by a Yun family driver and was now in third place. However, it was impossible for the fourth place to surpass Chaogang. Just when Chaogang was confused why Yemo still hadn't caught up, he saw Yemo's car rushing over like the wind. Of course, Chaogang wouldn't fight with Yemo and immediately moved aside to let Yemo take over. Keep this place, Yemo reminded before overtaking Chaogang. Yemo thought that as long as he could surpass that Yu family driver, the Chao family would be the first. This was because although the black driver was first, Zhang He couldn't score points anymore. The second was that driver invited by the Yun family. His car skills were good indeed and didn't slow down even on such curvy roads. Although only one car could pass ahead, it would be very simple for Yemo to take over him if he wanted. However, Yemo didn't want to do things so absurdly. That having two wheels hanging in mid-air and not falling off was out of the ordinary. Despite this driver being very fast, he was still far from Yemo, who controlled with his spirit sense. This speed was already very fast for normal people, but from Yemo's perspective, this speed was countless times slower than his flying sword. At a slightly wider section of the track, Yemo stood the accelerator down to the bottom and immediately surpassed the Yun family driver. Madman. That Yun family driver was a more dangerous terrain racer in Japan, but faced with Yemo, who didn't slow down even when turning, he felt this was too crazy. Yemo released his flying sword. As soon as he was about to lose control at corners, he would use the flying sword to push. There was still 1/6 of the road, but Yemo had already caught up to the black driver. Although the remaining 1/6 of the road was wide, there were no turns. It could be said this last part depended solely on the car itself. One only needed to step the accelerator down to the end. That black racer obviously knew his car's performance was better than Yemo's. He drove a modified Ferrari. Plus, Yemo had someone in his car. The advantages were obvious. He didn't even need to stop Yemo. He only needed to step on his accelerator, and he would win the race. Yemo also stood hard on the accelerator and released his flying sword at the same time, making the sword push the back of the car, increasing the speed this way. The black man couldn't believe his Ferrari was slowly being overtaken by Yemo's car. He stood on the accelerator while looking at Yemo's Mercedes in confusion. A mere modified Mercedes could overtake his Ferrari. This was impossible. He was a racer. He only needed to hear the sound of the Mercedes and knew which generator it used. It couldn't compare with his Ferrari, but how was this Mercedes faster than his car? But no matter how hard he stood on the accelerator and could even feel his car was going to float, Yemo's car still surpassed his without hesitation. Just when he wanted to use other means, he found that Yemo's car had arrived at the final destination. Yemo didn't go down the car and took back his flying sword. After he got off, the first thing he did was to check if Dongqing was still here. As he expected, she had left. However, Yemo wasn't worried. He had his spirit sense mark and would find her sooner or later. Plus, if she was still here, Yimo would be bemused. If a hitman didn't even have this sort of sense of vigilance, what sort of hitman was she? There were loud rumbles. The rest of the people had arrived. 8 people took part in the race, and only 5 finished the race. The other 3 crashed. Although things were very cruel, word wouldn't get out. The Yun family's 2 racers got 3rd and 5th, acquiring 10 points in total. The Zhang family had 1 death, and the other got 2nd place. Their total points were 7. Cha family was 0. Xiao family got 1st and 4th, totally 13 points, getting 1st in the race. Other than the 1 million, the blood coral belonged to the Qiao family. Of course, the 1 million was just for sure. No one would care about this little money. The real prize was that blood coral. You brother, I was lucky to have you this time. I was right about you. You actually got 1st, haha. Let's go. My grandpa really wants to see you. Come to my family. Xiao Gang came up grabbing Yimo's hat with excitement after hearing the Qiao family got 1st. Yimo nodded. Okay, let's go to your family and see. If there weren't the blood coral, Yimo wouldn't go to the Qiao family no matter what. He had a lot of things now, but he needed to make sure if this blood coral was something of the cultivation realm. If it really was what he imagined, he would ask for it from the Qiao family. Yimo's big name was out. Although the Qiao family was a family larger than the Yi family, they didn't dare to treat Yimo carelessly. They were very polite to him. Although Xiaozhen didn't come out to greet Yimo personally, he still came out during the feast. Mr. Yi, it was really lucky to have you this time. If it wasn't you, the blood coral wouldn't come to our Qiao family. Xiao Gang made a good friend this time. Come, Mr. Yi, cheers. Xiao Shengbao seemed to care about the blood coral the most. His eyes were full of excitement. Yimo smiled. Just some small things, not to worry. I wonder if I'm able to see this blood coral? Yimo didn't really like this Xiao Shengbao. He was too materialistic, so when he spoke, he didn't even have a title for Xiao Shengbao. If he confirmed that the blood coral wasn't what he was looking for, he would leave the Qiao family without hesitation. In this Qiao family, other than Xiao Gang, who he had a good impression, he really didn't give a shit about the others. Xiao Shengbao was obviously hesitating. In his eyes, although Yimo's name was out, this blood coral concerned great things. Fourth uncle, it's just having a look. It's no big deal. Xiao Gang immediately interrupted. Xiaozheng laughed. Go, bring out the blood coral. Let everyone see. The leader of the family, Old Man Xiao, even said this. Xiao Shengbao immediately had nothing to say. Although he really didn't want to take out the blood coral, he could only go in and bring it out. As soon as the blood coral came out, there was faint spirit qi circulating it. Although it wasn't thick, Yimo immediately knew that his original guess was wrong. This blood coral really was a spirit herb of the cultivation realm, but it also existed on Earth, and even the name was the same. If he had this blood coral, perhaps he could reach stage 4 immediately. Xiao Zheng was an old fox. He looked at Yimo's eyes and immediately knew that Yimo was also into this blood coral. Before Yimo said anything, Xiao Zheng quickly said, if this blood coral didn't concern the future of our Qiao family, it didn't matter if we gave it to you. However, this blood coral could allow 3 of the Qiao family members to reach yellow level. So other than the blood coral, Yi friend can bring up any other requests. Yimo didn't expect Xiao Zheng to talk like this. He didn't even say anything yet, but he immediately replied, Mr. Qiao, this blood coral is very useful to me. If the Qiao family only need fortune to enter the yellow level, I can help with that. I can provide the pills for 5 Qiao family members to reach yellow level and 1 to reach black level. I will use all those to trade for this blood coral. Blasphemy. A cold voice sounded. Xiao Gang immediately stood up. Xiao Jijun, what's the meaning of this? If your brother says he can, then he can. Xiao Shengbao sneered and reproached to Xiao Jijun. Zijin, Yimo is an honored guest of our Qiao family. Don't be disrespectful. Then, he turned to Yimo and said, sorry, blood coral is too important to our Qiao family. We can't agree to your request. This is a card to show our gratitude. When he took out the card, Xiao Shengbao sneered. This Yimo was really full of shit. He dared to think of such an easy way to trick the Qiao family's blood coral. Stop dreaming. Taking out pills to reach yellow and black level, he probably thought the whole world was as dumb as him. Yemo frowned and said faintly, "So you mean you don't believe that I can take out those pills?" Yemo frowned and said faintly, "So you mean you don't believe that I can take out those pills?" Xiaojing also frowned. They had dropped a broad hint, and Yemo still said something like that. It was crossing the line. Taking out a pill for martial artists to ascend. What a joke. No one would believe Yemo could bring out such a thing. Did he think this was some sort of cultivation world? Such arrogance. As expected, Qiao Xingbao said, "Mr. Yi, you helped our Qiao family. We all know you used a lot of efforts and our family is very grateful. There's 5 million on this card, but to be honest, if it wasn't for the blood coral, we wouldn't even go to the race. As for your trade-off for the blood coral, we all know what it means, so no need to. In that case, never mind. Yemo, isn't someone who hadn't seen money before. I don't care about a mere few millions." Then, Yemo took the card and ripped it to pieces. Only a few millions. Were they giving money to a beggar? He treated Guotaiming's illness, and in return, what he got paid. Not mention the map. Only the purple coral was worth at least 1 billion. Now, he helped the Qiao family win the blood coral, but they only took out a few millions. This Qiao family was really stingy. The 4 customized cars Qiao family used were worth at least 10 million. He helped the Qiao family win, but they only took out 5 million. To be honest, Yemo didn't even know what the Qiao family was thinking. If they took our 20 or 30 million, then he would take it. He rubbed the card and stood up saying to Tang Beiwei, "Beiwei, let's go." The Qiao family was not only not grateful to him, but also treated him like a liar, giving him only 5 million. This made Yemo quite uncomfortable. Until seeing Yemo and Tang Beiwei disappear from the living room, the people of the Qiao family finally reacted. Humph, he's not polite at all. He was a hilly-billy indeed. They gave him money and he was still acting up, a mere few million? He acted as though he was very rich. Was 5 million too less for helping with a race? Such greed, and he even wanted our blood coral. Keep dreaming. So shameless. Even if he didn't go, our Qiao family could still win. Xiao Jijun immediately sneered. Xiao Zheng's face was bad. This Yemo was too impolite and didn't even take the Qiao family seriously. Giving 5 million was his decision, and this was because he was Yemo. He originally planned to only give 3 million. Xiao Zheng wanted to get angry, but thinking about the Song family, he sunk his anger back into his stomach. In his view, Xiao Gang's car skills were the best in the 4 families. Even if they didn't invite Yemo and invited another international racer, this race would be fine. And if they invited an international racer, the price would only be a few millions. Big brother, these Qiao family are really clueless. You're giving them more pills, but they're blind. But why didn't you take the money? That was hard-earned. Why not take it? Tang Beiwei was also unhappy that her brother didn't get the blood coral. Yemo smiled. The Qiao family was asking for trouble. Even if the blood coral can allow people to reach yellow level, it wouldn't have anything to do with them if they don't have the ability to protect it and let the Qiao family take it from them. Even if the other families got it, trouble would still occur. If they don't have the ability, don't try to eat such a big meal. As for money, a few millions, do they think I've never seen money before? I helped Guotaiming treat his illness. The stone he gave me was more than 1 billion. Tang Beiwei asked confused, "Brother, why would the Cha family be fine if they go it?" Yemo said, "Cha family is a semi-hidden family. If they get something, they would store it securely. Now that the Qiao family got it, and the Cha family lost 2 racers, there's no way they wouldn't leak this information to the hidden sect people. However, I will finish the business with Cha family, but just not now." Yemo thought of Zhuaigua and Xiao Zheng. Before, Zhuaigua felt that the purple heart vine was useful to Yemo and gave it to him without hesitation, and at that time, Yemo didn't show his abilities at all. The results showed that Zhuaigua was right, and he was compensated more. Compared to Zhuaigua, Xiao Zheng was too short-sighted. "Yi brother, wait for me." Xiao Gang ran here breathing heavily. After catching up to Yemo, he said, "Sorry, Yi brother. I'm really sorry about this. Grandpa and the others don't believe you. I really..." Yemo waved his hand and said, "Young Master Qiao, it's already over. No need to talk about it. Plus, you can see it as me helping you. Don't worry about the other things. But I need to remind you that although the blood coral is useful to me, I'm also asking for it for the benefit of your family. It's no good for you family holding the blood coral. Xiao Gang dazed and said stutteringly, Yi brother, you're going to attack our family? Emo smiled. Young Master Xiao, you think too little of me, Emo. I'm not concerned about a mere blood coral. Plus, even if I ate a pill that would make me a god, I still have my principle of doing things. Just looking at our connection, I wouldn't attack the Xiao family. However, just because I won't do something doesn't mean other people won't. I suggest you go out and hide for a while. Yi brother, if you don't attack, our Xiao family is at least a big family. Under the current society, can someone come into our house and rob us? Xiao Gang asked confused. Emo shook his head. There are too much things you don't understand. That Cha family is a semi-hidden family. They can contact the hidden sects directly. If your Xiao family don't even know about the hidden sects, then pretend I never said anything. I've already given you a reminder. How you deal with it is your family's business. Thank you, brother. Other people don't know about your abilities, but I definitely believe you. But my grandpa doesn't believe me, sigh. Xiao Gang said helplessly. It's fine, by the way. Do you know where the blood coral was found? Emo asked casually. Xiao Gang didn't hide anything about this and said, at a place near the borders, there's a place called the Horn Strait. It's near the Southern Sea. At that time, I went with a few friends from the other families to go race there and found this blood coral washed up on the beach. Okay, thank you. We'll meet in time. Then, Emo waved goodbye to Xiao Gang and took Tang Beiwei and left the Qiao family. After a long time of silence, Xiao Gang went back to the Qiao family and decided to tell what Emo said to Grandpa. Blasphemy. As soon as he heard Xiao Gang's words, Xiao Zheng slammed the table and stared at Xiao Gang and said, although this Emo isn't bad, he's too stingy. You should have less contact with him. This is a peaceful time. Do you think it's warring era? You believe robbery of homes. I think you're out of your mind. Jijun is performing better than you in many places, and you need to stay in the family and get some rest. Xiao Gang didn't expect that his grandpa would reproach him, but grandpa's words also seemed reasonable. He turned around and immediately saw Xiao Jijun's evil smile. He immediately felt angry, but also knew his grandpa's authority and didn't dare to argue. Brother, are we going to Beijing now? Tang Beiwei wanted to see her mother. Emo sighed. Going to Beijing meant he had to kill people. Killing people would make Tang Beiwei's mother sad. This was quite complicated. Thinking about this, Emo could only say, let's go to Ninghai and see Qinghua first. After going to Ninghai, we'll go to Beijing. Tang Beiwei didn't ask why, but she could tell Emo wasn't in a good mood. After a while, she said, is Qingshua's sister my sister-in-law? By the way, brother, do you like Qingshua's sister or Luoying's sister? Although Tang Beiwei had seen neither of them, Emo told her about them. Emo dazed. Although he never hid anything about Luoying and Qingxue, he really didn't know how to answer this question now that he was being put on the spot. To be honest, I feel that brother you're so excellent it's fine even if you have 2 wives. Tang Beiwei realized Emo's hardship and said. Emo felt his chin helplessly. I think I like them both, but you're my sister. You would want me to get as much wives as possible. In other words, would you want to marry someone who will get 2 wives? Sigh. Emo didn't even get to tell Luoying about Qingxue before Luoying left. Although he had the thought of what Tang Beiwei suggested, this wasn't something he could decide. Qingxue was fine. After all, last time, she had already expressed she didn't mind being with Luoying, but what about Luoying? Emo had no confidence at all. If that person had as much ability as brother, then I don't mind. Tang Beiwei said immediately, but in her heart, of course she cared. She just wanted to comfort her brother. Although he didn't notice that Tang Beiwei was trying to comfort him, Emo felt that love was irrelevant to power. Did that mean someone with great power could have lots of love? This reasoning was too absurd. His love for Luoying was really love from life to death. There was nothing in it. As for Ning Qingxue, although Emo had no feelings for her originally, the things Ning Qingxue did for him gradually made him like this girl. If it was just gratitude, Emo wouldn't fall in love with Ning Qingxue, but those few days the two were together, Emo had changed his opinion of Ning Qingxue and accepted her slowly at the same time. Although his love for Ning Qiangsu was different to his love for Luoying, they both came from the bottom of his heart and there was nothing else inside. When Yimo brought Tang Beiwei to Ninghai, it was already midday on the second day. Before they reached the small yard, Yimo felt something was wrong. Ning Qingxue said she was waiting for him here, and he believed her. However, Ning Qingxue actually wasn't in this yard. Yimo and Tang Beiwei pushed open the door. The flower pots were still there, but the silver heart grasses were all dead except for one. He got someone to send them back here for Ning Qingxue to look after. The only one alive was also quite wilted. That one was the one Ning Qingxue looked after and spilt her blood on. What was going on? Yimo wanted to ask Su Wei but found out that Su Wei also wasn't here. However, there were still Su Wei's clothes hanging out in the garden. It seemed that Su Wei hadn't left yet. Brother, is Qingshue's sister not here? Tang Beiwei also felt something wasn't right and subconsciously asked. Yimo shook his head. He didn't know why Ning Qingxue wasn't here, but her firm words from before were still by his ears. I will wait for you at Ninghai. Although it was a few plain words, Yimo believed Ning Qingxue said what she wanted. Before she waited till his arrival, she wouldn't leave. For this, Yimo didn't doubt it at all, but now, Ning Qingxue wasn't here. Yimo carefully checked the silver heart grass that hadn't died, but found it wasn't due to lack of care. What was this? Su Wei just pushed the door open and saw Yimo standing by the flower pot. When she saw Tang Beiwei, she couldn't help to sigh. Yimo was really a womanizer. Not only did he know a lot of women, but none of them was ugly. She was probably the uglier one, or perhaps she could only compare with Li Mu Mei. Su Wei, you're back? Where's Qingxue? The first thing Yimo asked seeing Su Wei was about Ning Qingxue. Su Wei's eyes went red and immediately told everything that had happened to Yimo. Then, she said, after Qingxue had recovered, she was taken to Yu State by her family and never came back. But after Qingxue left, no matter how I took care of these silver heart grasses, they were wilted and many had died. Only that tallest one is barely living. Ning Qingshu was actually almost beaten to death. Yimo's fury immediately erupted. Who had such balls? It seemed he was too kind. Last time the Song family attacked Ning Qingxue, he hadn't even had time to annihilate the Song family, but now, other people were also attacking Ning Qingxue. A strong killing intent emanated from Yimo's body. Even Su Wei and Tang Beiwei on the side took steps back subconsciously. Tang Beiwei looked at Yimo's bloodshot eyes and called out anxiously, "Brother." Yimo came to his senses and howled to the sky, regardless if it's Earth Fiend or others who hurt Ning Qingxue. I, Yimo, swear I will annihilate you in my life. From Yimo's perspective, Earth Fiend had the greatest suspicion. She made up her mind in her heart, brother. Don't worry, I will work here and try to not be cumbersome to you. Tang Beiwei really did make up her mind. If she had her brother's powers today, she wouldn't need to hide everywhere and could even help her brother. Mei-Chim, pack those fireball charms away carefully. Don't take them out unless it's a life or death situation. Yimo was worried about Tang Beiwei's safety and gave her more than 100 fireball charms. These fireball's charms weren't so useful to Yimo, although they were good to use, but it cost too much time to use them, and their power to Yimo was just so-so. It could be used against Earth-level martial artists, but it was barely life-threatening for tertiary-stage Earth levels. It really didn't have much use, but it was good for self-defense for Tang Beiwei. Brother, I didn't think there would be people living here. Although Tang Beiwei was on Yimo's back, she was quite scared when Yimo jumped off the cliff. When she saw the road, she was more astonished. Brother, I didn't think there would be people living here. Although Tang Beiwei was on Yimo's back, she was quite scared when Yimo jumped off the cliff. When she saw the road, she was more astonished. Yimo nodded and said, "Those sects don't like the boisterous mortal world, and these sort of places are more suited for cultivation. Was what you taught me that day also ancient martial arts? How come there weren't any martial arts moves?" Tang Beiwei asked curiously. Yimo said seriously, "What I taught you wasn't ancient martial arts but something thousands of times more precious than it. You mustn't show it in front of others or tell anyone. As Emo introduced, Tang Beiwei gradually knew a little more about the hidden sections. The two talked as they walked and had arrived at Serenity. Although the sect master didn't say it, she was quite grateful to Emo. If Emo didn't remove Jing Shi, she wouldn't even be able to control Serenity. After Emo killed Jing Shi, Serenity was no longer flailing like before. No matter what Jing Xian thought, she would have never expected Emo to come to Serenity a second time and bring a very beautiful girl. Grand Jing Xian, this is my sister Tang Beiwei. Because I still have some businesses unresolved, I want to let me sister stay at your place for some time. Emo had a request and didn't dare to be rude in front of Jing Xian. Jing Xian looked at Tang Beiwei in surprise and then said, Mr. Yi, this is the sister you said you've lost for more than 20 years? Emo bowed and said, Yes, my sister will live here for a while. When I come next time, there will be repayment. Jing Xian sighed. Since it's your sister, then no need to talk about repayment. It's just a pity on Susu. If only you brought her here earlier. Emo's heart was melancholic. He understood what Jing Xian meant. He left his sister at Serenity also because he wanted to wait for Luoying to come back. After all that, the first thing Emo did was to go to Yu State. He was going to see Ning Qingshuo. No matter if he could cure her or not, he would still go. Ning Qingshuo's father Ning Zhongfei was quite decisive and left the Ning family resolutely for Ning Qingshuo. With his strong connections and capable business mind, he established a new pharmaceutical company in the short span of a year. In Yu State, Ning family was a wealthy family. As soon as Emo got to Yu State, he didn't spend much time to know that not only did Ning Qingshuo recover physically, but was being the manager of Ning Zhongfei's business. The business was at the tallest skyscraper building at Yu State, and it was very easy for Emo to find it. The building didn't belong to Ning Zhongfei yet, and his company only rented 2 levels of the building. Emo didn't receive much questioning and went upstairs. However, the girl in reception stopped Emo. Sir, may I ask who you're looking for? The girl was quite pretty and very polite. I'm looking for Ning Qingshuo. May I ask, is she here? Thinking about how he was about to meet Ning Qingshuo, Emo was a bit excited. He didn't know if the exact situation was as what Su Wei said, but if it really was, then what would he do if he couldn't cure her? The girl showed a professional smile but didn't call and ask for permission. She asked again politely, Sir, did you make an appointment? No. Emo shook his head subconsciously. He never thought that he wouldn't be able to see Ning Qingshuo. The front desk girl smiled apologetically. Then I'm sorry, sir. I can't report in clients without appointments. The front desk girl's sweet smile made Emo unable to get angry, but he didn't have a way to make the girl report in. Just when he was wondering if he should use invisibility to go in and see Ning Qingshuo, there was a clanking of high heels on the ground. CEO Lon, Manager Li. The girl saw the two and greeted politely. Emo turned around and saw someone familiar. It was Li Mumei. He was happy immediately and quickly said, Li Mumei, I'm Emo. I came to see Ning Qingshuo this time. Emo stopped his words. He felt the atmosphere wasn't right, and Li Mumei's looks at him seemed a little weird as though she wanted to say something. Meanwhile, the woman beside Li Mumei frowned. CEO Lon? Was it Ning Qingshuo's mother Lan Yu? This meant that this CEO Lan was his future mother-in-law. Emo felt a little awkward and walked up and said, Hello, Ani. I'm Emo. I came to see Qingshuo. The woman still frowned, but Emo said that already, so she could only reply, Do you know me? I've heard Qingshuo mention you. I believe you're Qingshuo's mother, right? Emo didn't dare to be careless in front of Qingshuo's mother. Seeing Li Mumei wanting to say something and Lan Yu frowning, Emo felt things weren't right and the scene sunk into silence. After a long while, Lan Yu said, Since you're Emo, come in and let's have a talk, sigh. Then, Lan Yu walked in and Li Mumei gave Emo a sympathetic look and also followed in. Emo followed the two into the office helplessly. Li Mumei went and made 2 cups of tea and then left, closing the door. Emo, I know you're someone with power, but... Lan Yu paused as though trying to organize her words and said after a while, Qingshuo is my only daughter, and she is my treasure. Her dad and I won't be able to tolerate any harm to her. We work so hard just for Qingshuo's future. Emo sighed and said, Auntie, don't beat about the bush. Although I'm emotional, I have done things that I won't regret. I like Qingxue, but I'm not liking her for her wealth. Lan Yu nodded and said, in that case, I'll be straightforward. Of course I know you won't care about the little wealth our Ning family has, but we care about our daughter. Ever since Qingxue knew you, she's been heavily injured twice. We almost lost our daughter. This was all because of you. This time, Qingxue was rammed by a car and sent to the hospital. She was announced dead, but perhaps the heavens pitied us and Qingxue actually came back alive the second day. Speaking to her, Lan Yu rubbed her eyes. Yimo saw this and sighed. He didn't blame Lan Yu. He only had respect for a mother like this, and he knew why Qingxue would come back alive. It was because she only fainted on the spot. This was all due to the necklace he made for her. It was made from precious materials and inscribed with many formations. Although spirit chi would be consumed while used for defense, after a while, it would replenish. Qingxue could wake the second day because after replenishment, the necklace recovered her life force. Looking at Yimo, who was in silence, Lan Yu said again, ever since Qingxue met you, not only did she not want to come ab to you state and always stayed at Ninghai, it was also said that she went of Flowing Snake and the desert once all by herself. After 2 near-death experiences, her dad and I can no longer handle this. This time when Qingxue woke up, the heavens pitied us and she actually lost a year of memory. Her memory is at the time before she met you. So, Yimo, please, we beg you, let her live a peaceful life. Then, Lan Yu looked hopefully at Yimo. She wanted Yimo to take pity on the heart of parents and not get close to her daughter again. She didn't know that Ning Qingxue also went as Shenong Jia, otherwise, she would be even more concerned. Yimo really wanted to fulfill Lan Yu's love for her daughter, but he couldn't. Not only did Ning Qingxue love him, but he also loved Ning Qingxue. He had no hesitation and shook his head slowly. Yimo, why are you doing this? We beg you, let our Qingxue go. Then, Lan Yu actually knelt down. Yimo was dazed. He didn't expect Lan Yu to do this. At that moment, he felt his heart ache as though something precious was going to leave him. Mom, you... The office door was opened and Ning Qingxue in a pale yellow dress stood at the door like a goddess. She looked dazedly at Lan Yu, who knelt on the ground, and then moved her gaze upon Yimo. But soon, she reacted and rushed over to help Lan Yu up. She turned around with a face of anger and looked at Yimo and asked, "Who are you? What do you want?" Yimo opened his mouth but couldn't say a word. If Lan Yu telling him to leave Ning Qingxue made his heart ache, then Ning Qingxue's words now made his heart bleed. He knew that Ning Qingxue lost a years of memory, but his heart suddenly felt empty. That emptiness he could no accept. Qingxue, I'm Yimo. I know. He was interrupted by Ning Qingxue before he finished. She frowned and said, Yimo, the engagement was determined by our previous generation. You are you and I am I. Why are you coming for me? I don't want you to come to my parents. But Qingxue, did you not know you lost a year's memory? Yimo said desperately. Ning Qingxue's eyes frowned more and looked at Yimo with disgust. Qingxue isn't something you can call. I know you're the young master of the Yi family, but that has nothing to do with me. Plus, I lost my memory, but what's that got to do with you? Is there any use for you to force my mother? Please leave. Luoying left him due to misunderstanding, but Ning Nixu didn't even want to listen to him, nor let him touch her. He didn't want to force her. Plus, even if he treated her, he might not be able to get her memories back. He had this burning sensation in his heart that made him hard to breathe. Why were things like this? Why? After a long while, Yimo took out a face-preserving pill and a few golden needles and said, I brought this face-preserving pill over just for you and I want to help you see if you can recover your memories. Ning Qingxue's face was frost-like and she said coldly, treatment is unnecessary and face-preserving pill? Okay, I'll eat it. Ning Qingxue took the pill and ate it. Then, she said, Yimo, I've eaten the pill. Go, I beg you, don't try these tricks on me. Yimo felt more and more depressed. He picked up the golden needle and still wanted to say something, but Ning Qingxue immediately said, Piss off. PSH, Yimo finally couldn't hold the despair and pain in his heart and spat out a mouth of blood on the office desk. After spitting out the blood, he actually felt more relived. His mental state reached a new level. Since she wasn't his, why force it? At that moment, he seemed to have opened up and understood a lot and wanted to howl. This was the frustration of recently being hunted, Luoying, and Beiwei's things. With the thing with Ning Qingxue, it made his heart feel clumped. After spitting out the clotting blood, he felt very relieved and felt if he had any spirit grass now, he could immediately reach stage 4 Qi gathering. Yimo sighed. The Buddha says, everything is so due to fate, starting from the begging to the end of fate. Everything is so. Perhaps he could keep that love in his heart and treat it as past memories, no longer necessary to flip out again. Perhaps this was what it meant to be positive. Yimo's mental state calmed down and packed away the golden needles, returning to his original composure. Ning Qingxue saw the blood stain and actually felt pain in her heart. But this feeling was very strange. She could only draw the conclusion that this Yimo was immature. She never said she had any relationship with Yimo, and she would never marry such a human trash. Lan Yu pushed the door open and rushed in. She saw the blood on the table and immediately said aggressively to Yimo, Yimo, can we drop this? Leave, never come back to our Ning family. She thought Yimo made her daughter spew blood and couldn't keep calm. I'm standing at your Ning family's place? Yimo was calm and his tone was very bland. He actually wasn't very angry. He didn't blame Lan Yu nor Ning Qingshu. They had their lives and so did he. That's right, where you're standing. Leave immediately. Even the patch outside the front door belongs to us. Our family doesn't welcome you. Lan Yu was worried about her daughter and wasn't going to be polite with Yimo anymore. She even sounded a little childish. Yimo smiled calmly. Oh, does the sky outside also belong to your family? Then, Yimo no longer wanted to say anything. Before Lan Yu replied, he took a step outside the window and disappeared. Lan Yu and Ning Qingxue dazed for a good few seconds before coming to their senses. Yimo actually couldn't handle the trauma and jumped off the building. Although Ning Qingxue looked down on Yimo, she was still very worried about Yimo jumping off. This was the 8th floor. He wouldn't be alive after jumping off. She rushed over to the windows and looked down. There was no trace of him. Mom, don't call yet. Lan Yu was stumbling to call the police, but was stopped by Ning Qingxue. What's wrong, Qingxue? Lan Yu calmed down. Ning Qingxue breathed easy and looked down before saying, he's quite capable. There's no trace of him at the bottom, and he probably climbed down the pipes and left. Qingxue, did you spit the blood here? Lan Yu finally reacted now. Ning Qingxue shook her head. No, it's Yimo. He probably had some sort of trauma. Sigh. He's quite pitiful actually. Abandoned by the Yi family, but still not unenterprising. Huh. Lan Yu stared straight at the blood stain. Ning Qingxue didn't know, but she knew all too well. Suddenly, she felt that she did this thing very wrongly. After long, Lan Yu sighed. Let the past be. Qingxue had her own life, and Yimo had his new life. Qingxue didn't remember the days with Yimo, and that was why she felt Yimo was pitiful. But Lan Yu was all too clear about Yimo's power in Beijing. Mom, my heart is aching. I want to go back and rest for a few days. Ning Qingxue felt her heart pulsing with pain. She had never had such kinetitin. What's happening today? Lan Yu had a sliver of worry flash across her eyes and quickly replied, Okay, let Mumei rest with you for a few days. Don't worry about the company. There's your dad and I here. After Yimo left Yu State, his mood was down, but his mental state broke through again. Now, he had dropped the sadness. Pursuing cultivation and long life was his path. He was to go to the Song family next and finish things up, then he would immediately try to go for stage 4. After he was stage 4, it would be time for him to get revenge against Earth Fiend and time when he established his own power. No matter for himself or the people around him, he needed a strong power to provide protection. His cultivation also required large amounts of money. With money, he could make all sorts of pills and make money faster. However, with more money, he also needed power to protect it. Before going to Beijing, Yimo stopped by Ninghai to look at that silver heartgrass. It seemed to have gained some life force. Sue hadn't finished work yet, and he didn't wait for her. Sue was very meticulous. She would do well what she promised. Next time when he came back, he wouldn't mind giving her a face-preserving pill. As for Yunbing, Yemo didn't go to see her. He was originally planning to go to the university and ask about Shixiu, but he had already graduated, and if he were to go to ask about him in Ninghai University, perhaps he would see Yunbing. Ever since the issue with Ning Qingxue, Yemo's heart had been rejective of staying alone with women. Beijing Song Family. Beijing Song Family. Contrary to Song Yuani and Song Qiming's expectation, the incident at Wuliang Mountain had been past a few months, and now, Yemo still came to Song Family to look for trouble. Did they think wrong? If Yemo really didn't dare to come to the Song Family, should they get the Song Family people to come back to Beijing? Perhaps Yemo didn't know the identity of Song Hai in them. The Song Family didn't have the power to face off with Yemo, so they could only resist for now. Now, the Song Family mansion was not near as busy and populated as before. Other than Song Yuani and Song Qiming, there was only Song Qishan. There were originally some third-generation people here, but after Song Hai disappeared, these people were sent away by Song Qiming. Tang Jing felt really fortunate recently. Although Song Qiming wronged her before due to some reasons, he still never forgot about her. Before she died, he came and found her and gave her the warmness and love she had longed for many years. Although before, all she had in her heart was hatred for Song Qiming. Seeing Song Qiming kneel down before her and beg for her forgiveness, her heart had already forgiven him. It didn't matter that she suffered so much all these years. At least Qiming came back. Although Beiwei didn't want to come with her to Beijing, Qiming said that he wouldn't let anything happen to Beiwei. Tang Jing had no doubt of Song Qiming's words. Although she still didn't go do surgery, her body was recovering gradually. Her face even looked healthier. Thinking that Song Qiming was with her every day, she felt this joy at the bottom of her heart. Her years of longing and hope finally had a resolution she wanted. She didn't mind if Song Qiming was rich or powerful. In her heart, she only wanted to be with him, and that would be the greatest joy of life. Sometimes, Qiming would even sit with her for an entire night without any requests. He just sat with her like those years ago. Tang Jing knew that Qiming wouldn't come today because he said he had a lot of work and would come back late. So, she made him some lotus soup. She didn't want him to work too hard. She still had a surprise for Qiming. It was that she could walk now. Song Qiming's office usually didn't allow others to come in, but he told her that others didn't include her. No one could replace her in his mind. He missed her for 20 years and didn't want to spend the rest of his life regretting. So, Tang Jing didn't mind that Song Qiming's office didn't allow others to come in. And now, there was barely anyone in the Song family mansion, so no one cared about this. What made Tang Jing disappointed was that when she came to Song Qiming's place, she noticed the second floor's lights were off. That meant that Song Qiming hadn't come back yet. There was the sound of car rumble that drove into the room. The car didn't stop at the outer garden, but drove straight in. Tang Jing knew that Song Qiming came back. Her heart rejoiced and wanted to bring the lotus soup over, but she saw two people get off the car and stopped herself in her tracks. Song Qiming got out, but there was also another young girl. The two seemed quite intimate, and the girl was holding Song Qiming's arms. Didn't he tell her that he was divorced? And even if he didn't, this woman was not much older than Beiwei. Tang Jing suddenly felt her hands shaky. She didn't mind Song Qiming bringing back a girl, but she cared that Song Qiming lied to her. Song Qiming and that girl had walked under the office and were hugged together. There was the sound of hookup and seductive moans. Tang Jing didn't believe this was the Song Qiming who stayed with her every night before. She was deeply disappointed, but didn't hate Song Qiming. Perhaps her body wasn't well and she couldn't stay with him. That's why he was acting like this. "Let's go upstairs." Song Qiming finally gasped and squished the girl's boobs and said, "MNHM, is that old woman still in the house? She's really annoying." The woman's voice sounded very sulky and was obviously unhappy. Song Qiming sighed, "I have no choice. Our Song family is being threatened too much by that Yemo. She's Tang Beiwei's mother. I took her over just so that Yemo would have some concern. Originally, I thought that according to Yemo's personality, he might quite possibly not do anything to the Song family due to Tang Beiwei's mother, but I think we've thought too much. He's by himself, and he doesn't dare to do anything to the Song family no matter how strong he is. As for Tang Jing, let her be. Our Song family can still afford to feed a useless person." The woman gasped into laughter. "Treating your old lover like a dog to feed? What old lover? Don't disgust me. Perhaps I would be interested in her 20 years ago, but now, it's the hardest time of my life each night I talk to her. Sigh, don't worry about her. I just didn't expect her daughter to be Yimo's sister. She's really lucky. Otherwise, why would I even care about her?" Song Qiming seemed to have thought of Tang Jing's looks and frowned. That woman laughed again. "I heard that Tang Beiwei is a real beauty. You must be interested in her. How come you don't seem yourself when you talk about her?" Song Qiming smiled. "Pity. She's Yimo's sister. Our Song family shouldn't mess with him anymore. Be gentle. I know you're interested in that girl. You even dare to fuck me." The woman called, and then, her mouth seemed to be blocked by something. After a long while, she gasped and said, "Of course I wouldn't mind about that Tang Jing. Who I care about is the tigress of your family. To be honest, I still need to thank that Yimo. If it wasn't for him, how could you send away that tigress? How do we dare to do this here? Uh-huh." She only spoke half the sentence, and her mouth seemed to have been blocked by something. At the corner, Tang Jing's hands and feet went cold. The bowl of lotus soup fell on the grass, but she didn't seem to notice at all. The person who asked for forgiveness in front of her was this sort of person. She suddenly felt that all the power of her body was going to leave her. Yimo sighed. He originally came here to kill the Song family people, but he saw this scene. He couldn't help but to feel sad for Tang Beiwei's mother, falling in love with such a man. Did she really not know what Song Qiming really was like? Did she really believe everything Song Qiming said? Yimo didn't believe it. Tang Jing was just cheating herself. Perhaps she knew she didn't have long to live, so she wanted to die with happiness, not a life of losing hope. Sometimes, there is no reason for love. Yimo thought of Luoying. Would his love for her change because of anything else? He believed that Luoying wouldn't betray him, but if she did? Yimo asked himself, and found that he would still like her just like how he loved Ning Qingxue. Ning Qingxue was so indifferent to him, but he didn't blame her, nor did he resent her. He just enveloped that love and left it untouched. Perhaps this was what Tang Jing was like to Song Qiming. Even though she knew that Song Qiming was tricking her, she would still rather cheat herself, but now, she could no longer do that. Yimo believed that she must have regretted coming out to see this scene and hearing those words. Yimo saw Song Qiming carry that girl, and the two rustled upstairs. Meanwhile, Tang Jing spat out a mouthful of blood after a long while. Then, she stood up slowly. She actually looked at Song Qiming wistfully before leaving. Looking at Tang Jing's weak body like a small leaf in the frosty wind, Yimo actually felt uncomfortable. Why did she have to love such a man? But he couldn't help her at all, and he knew that if he killed Song Qiming today, and Tang Jing knew tomorrow, she will be very sad. However, even so, he would still kill Song Qiming. From today on, he wouldn't let himself into trouble due to being soft on his enemies. He had to kill Song Qiming. However, after things here were done, he would take Tang Jing to live with Tang Beiwei. The light beside the bedroom lit up. Song Qiming and that girl were already rolling together. That girl's clothes were completely ripped apart, revealing two busty white rabbits. Song Qiming's two hands already started rubbing and squishing. At the same time, he was also trying to take off the clothes on himself. That woman seemed thirstier than Song Qiming and had flipped on top of Song Qiming more than once. Yimo respected Song Qiming's stamina. He was in his 50s to 60s, but he still had so much energy. Yimo raised his hand, and a gust of wind shot out. That voracious woman was knocked out cold on the bed. Song Qiming didn't even notice it at all until the woman stopped moving. "Xiao Yu," Song Qiming called out worriedly. "You don't need to call. I've already knocked her out." Yimo's cold voice sounded. Song Qiming's body shook and suddenly turned around. Under the dim yellow light, Yimo's figure stood by the doorway. Song Qiming was covered in cold sweat. After a long while, he asked, Who are you?" "I'm getting some payback." Emo said, and a curved sword suddenly appeared in his hands. I'm getting some payback, Emo said, and a curved sword suddenly appeared in his hands. Song Chiming looked at Emo, not knowing where his curved sword appeared from. But immediately, he reacted and said in a shaky voice, You are Emo? That's right. You're very smart. You know you owe me. It's just that I've been busy lately and only had time for this today. Emo's voice was very cold. Song Chiming was the leader of a family. Although he was very worried, he soon forced himself to calm down. Young Master Yi, the thing between our family and you is a complete misunderstanding. Although it's a misunderstanding, I've completely dispersed the Song family to show my apology to you. If you can let the Song family go once, I'm willing to swear that from today on, our Song family will just be a dog of yours. What a big misunderstanding. Emo sneered. I'm not someone who exterminates. I've let your Song family go on more than one occasion, but you challenged my bottom line. You dare to harm even Qingxue and Beiwei. You even made my sister harm me. I'll let you die with a clear mind. But don't worry, those vermin breed of you Song family. I won't leave one behind if I see one. Song Chiming's face had the look of extreme desperation for life and said desperately, that had nothing to do with our Song family. It was all Dong Fengxi's plan. Our Song family never. Before he finished, he could no longer say anything anymore. Emo had shattered Song Chiming's aorta with his fist. Even as he died, he still had the look of trying to explain something. Emo didn't use a sword to kill him. The sword was just to scare him. There were no marks on both the inside and outside of Song Chiming's body. Even though Emo did this, many people would still guess he killed Song Chiming, but Emo was still going to do this. Sometimes, even though everyone knew, he still needed to put up a show. If Song Chiming was killed by him blatantly, this thing couldn't be suppressed. After all, Song Chiming was an influential person. He threw Song Qiuming next to the woman. Emo killed Song Yuani and Song Qishan next. There were only these three important people in this mansion. Although there were still some maids and gardeners, Emo never wanted to kill everyone. He didn't even kill the guards. As for Song Yuani and Song Qishan, Emo just burnt them to ash. He only left Song Chiming's body. Although he didn't kill all of the Song family's direct descendants, Emo still felt a lot better. He had been constantly hunted by the Song family, and now he finally killed a few leaders of the family. Then, Emo headed towards where Tang Jing was. He wanted to tell her that he would bring her to Beiwei. However, what Emo didn't expect was that Tang Jing actually suicided. He felt a little sad. Tang Jing was a tragic woman and didn't even achieve some small aspirations in the end. He wished she would meet a good person next life. Emo silently burned Tang Jing's body and used a jade box to hold her ashes. He would give it to Beiwei next time. After leaving the Song family, Emo didn't go find Yiling. If he did now, it would be blatantly telling everyone that he killed the people at the Song family. The second day, news got out that Song Chiming and his niece's wife were naked on the bed together, and Song Chiming died of overexcitement. Then, the first-in-command Song Yuani disappeared. The Song family fell into a deeper abyss after dispersing. The Song family of the 5 big families of China was like the sun of dusk, slowly falling down. At this moment, Emo had left Beijing. He went on the train towards Xian Mountain. His destination was Sharp Sea Corner, the place Zhaogang and them found the blood coral. It was on his way, so he also wanted to see how Fong Nan was doing. He had agreed to help him but was delayed by all sorts of things. He also needed Fong Nan to help him with something this time. Because Emo didn't buy a ticket and just jumped on, the first thing he wanted to do was find a seat. However, because Beijing was the first station and there weren't many people going to Xian Mountain, there were still some free spaces on the train. Emo found a seat as soon as he got on. Brother, are you going to Jingkou? Emo just got on, and the middle-aged man opposite him greeted and passed a cigarette. Emo pushed the cigarette back and smiled. I'm going to Xian Mountain, but I don't smoke. I saw that you didn't bring a bag, and I thought you were going to the closest station, Jingkou. Xian Mountain isn't close. Even with this express train, it would take a whole day. This man was very meticulous. Emo noticed this man's hand had a lot of calluses and his muscles were very tight. It could be seen that he practiced martial arts. Although his inner chi cultivation didn't have a level yet, or never even cultivated it systematically, normal people wouldn't be a match for him. It's good not to smoke. I'm an old smoker. Brother, are you going to Sien Mountain to get rich? This man packed the cigarettes away. Although this man just introduced himself suddenly, Emo didn't dislike him. Perhaps it was due to his look. Although he was very skinny, his eyes had spirit and didn't seem dodgy. Emo hated those with dodgy glances. He didn't like those type of people. They were either really calculative or weak and timid people. No, I just want to go to Guilin. Sien Mountain is just a passing-by place. Emo didn't hide his destination. Guilin? The middle-aged man frowned. Then, another two people came. It was a young woman in her mid-20s and another youth with shades. It seemed the two were together. They both carried big bags. The young man had some looks and dressed very simply. Her clothes were modest. This youth seemed scholarly and weak. The young woman smiled at Emo and said to that youth, "Xiaogong, you can sit on the opposite side." Then, the young woman sat beside Emo. The man continued, "Brother, Guilin isn't a peaceful place. Why are you going there?" Emo smiled but didn't reply. The young woman sitting beside him had a faint smell of blood. Emo had experienced countless killings, so as soon as this young woman sat down, he felt it. And this young woman had a little worried look. It meant that she killed before getting on the train. If she just injured someone, she wouldn't have this bloody smell, but perhaps it was her first time, so she felt scared. But no matter how much this woman killed, it was irrelevant to him. He smiled and looked at the middle-aged man. "I have a friend whose business isn't going too well. I'm going to help him." Emo was talking about Fong Nan. He did indeed want to go help Fong Nan. Fong Nan was a good person, and he also wanted to create his own power faction. Fong Nan was a good choice. "Your friend is doing business at the border? I heard that those people who can do business at the border aren't simple people. They've all seen blood and big scenes. They pretty much all killed before. Only then can they strike fear in others." This middle-aged man said with a strange expression. Emo looked deeply at the man and immediately knew that he wasn't simple. He talked about blood purposely. Who would talk about this the first time they met a friend? This was too absurd and didn't even suit the topic of the conversation. However, Emo knew that this man could also tell what the woman did. He said this all just to comfort the woman. As for why he was doing this and how he knew, Emo didn't know. Emo smiled. He didn't express his opinion and just didn't talk anymore. However, the young woman beside Emo shook and gradually calmed down. This man just said a sentence to test. Although he didn't know what was with the woman, but he could tell something was wrong. However, he was more testing Emo. Now that he saw that Emo just smiled to his words and not say anything, he immediately knew Emo was no ordinary person. "I'm called Zhang Jiayan. I'm planning to go have a look at Sien Mountain." "Brother, what business does your brother do?" "Haha, if it's suitable, I also want to find something to do." Zhang Jiayan's words were obvious. He was asking if there was an opportunity for cooperation. Hearing his words, Emo had an idea. This guy had a meticulous heart and was observational. Now that he asked this question, Emo knew that he was someone bold, and then considering how he comforted the woman, it meant that he was a decent person at last. Thinking about this, Emo nodded. "I'm Emo. My friend is called Fong Nan. He's about to do big business. If Zhang brother wished to cooperate, it's fine. We are in need of people." Just when Emo finished and before Zhang Jiayan could reply, a few police officers who looked serious reached out to Emo. That youth and the woman saw the police come over and immediately became pale. They even started shivering. "Yuan Meixiang, Yuan Gong, you two really know how to run he, but now, someone suspects that you two are involved in a murder case at Jingkou, Fanghe Town. You must go back for investigation." The head police seemed weak and fat, but his tone was very serious. "Yuan Meixiang, Yuan Gong, you two really know how to run he, but now, someone suspects that you two are involved in a murder case at Jingkou, Fanghe Town. You must go back for investigation." The head police seemed weak and fat, but his tone was very serious. That young woman calmed down instead and looked around before saying, "You don't need to do anything. I will go with you guys, but I know that as long as I go, I will have no hopes of coming back out again, so I will tell what happened to everyone here. I will let everyone know what is hiding in this world. Take her away. Yuan Meixiang, if you have anything to say, tell your lawyer. The police didn't wait for this young woman to finish and yelled, Haha, my lawyer, as long as I fall into your hands, I would be devoured whole. That Yuan Meixiang girl started laughing out loud, but her face was getting more and more miserable. The two policemen behind the fat police had already came up. They grabbed her hands and was going to cuff her. Let her go. Let her speak. What can't other people hear? Zhang Jiayan suddenly stood up and pointed at the few policemen and said. The fat police narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhang Jiayan coldly and said, What? You are going to help the culprit resist arrest? Zhang Jiayan smacked down on the tea table. Resist arrest? Just you. Stop thinking so highly of yourself. You're only a small traffic police. What right do you have to call me helping others to resist arrest? I've seen all sorts of big scenes. You just said she was a suspect and now she just suddenly became the culprit. White really becomes black in your mouth. Good job, good job. Sister, just tell us your situation. There are so many people here. I want to see who wouldn't let you speak. As soon as Zhang Jiayan spoke, there was chit-chat in the carriage. Obviously, there were a lot of people who thought Zhang Jiayan was right. They should give Yuan Meixiang a chance to speak. Who do you think you are, teaching a traffic police what to do? Don't you believe that I can take you away as well? The policeman behind the fat police said impatiently. Zhang Jiayan laughed and took out a certificate and a few honor badges. Who am I? I'm a soldier. When I was spilling blood for the country, where were you? Am I not even allowed to speak? The fat police scanned and saw that military certificate. It seemed like a veteran certificate, but not really, and there was a second-level honor and a third-level. There were so much honor rewards, and the fat police was also shocked, but he was smart and didn't take these rewards to look at. Because if he didn't look at them, then he could say that he didn't know. Yuan Meixiang saw that these few policemen didn't say anything and didn't continue to cuff her. She knew that this was her opportunity and immediately cried and said, 3 years ago, I just graduated from the University of Finance. When I passed by Jingkou, Fangnan town, I was being taken into custody illegally by Do San and was forced to marry him. During the time, if I didn't do one thing that he wanted me to do, he would beat me viciously. Then, Yuan Meixiang flipped up her clothes, showing all the marks on her body and hands. They were shocking. Completely disregard of law. Zhang Jiayan smashed down on the table furiously. Even the passengers in the carriage saw her and felt sympathetic for her. Yuan Meixiang wiped her eyes and continued, Half a year later, I found the opportunity to escape and went to the police department at Fanghe town, but not only was I not sent away, but was instead beat up again and brought back by Do Senator then. I had a child, but it was sold by Do San, and I wanted to run away again, but this time, Do San guarded me closely and tortured me even more. But this wasn't it. The animal didn't have money and actually wanted me to sleep with his friends and wanted me to sell my body to get money for him. I wouldn't comply no matter what. Later, my brother Yuan Gong found me. He looked for me for 3 years, and the first thing he did when he found me was go to the police, but I stopped her. Even so, this was found by Do San, this animal. He got people to tie my brother up. I begged him to release my brother. This weak-looking youth rubbed his eyes and held Yuan Meixiang, who was about to fall. Yuan Meixiang sniffed. Do San agreed to my request, but just when I was celebrating, a friend of his couldn't help anymore and told me Do Seng's real plans. This animal was planning to sell my brother's kidney. That night, while Do San was drunk, I stole his keys and let my brother out. But just when we were about to escape, we were found by Do Senator. I fought with him and accidentally cut his neck. This thing has nothing to do with my brother. I know that if I went in, I would have no return, but I beg you to let my brother go. He is innocent. Animal. Zhang Jiayan was furious. Is there no law anymore? Do San, this animal deserved his death. If it was me, I would have killed him 100 times. Why can't you come out after you go in? You bunch of policemen? The country I fought for with my blood is going to be polluted by you like that? The few policemen frowned. They wanted to capture this woman away, but they feared public outrage. Just when the few policemen didn't know what to do, the train had arrived at the new station while Yuan Meixiang said miserably, because Do Sen's brother is the captain of the Fong He Police Department. I heard that the previous captain was a righteous man and was harmed by Do's senator, so if I go in, I'd be dead for sure. It was I who killed Do's senator. It has nothing to do with my brother. I just want you guys to let my brother go. Okay, you've finished. Now there will be someone to take you away. Whatever your situation is, you can tell it at the police department. The fat police looked hesitantly at Zhang Jiayan before saying to Yuan Meixiang. Zhang Jiayan was full of anger. He knew that he couldn't stop the fate of them being taken into the police station, but his personality compelled him to stop this. Killing my brother? How dare you? You evil bitch. You actually ran this far. Another two policemen rushed into the carriage. The one walking at the front had triangular eyes. As soon as he came in, he saw the two and had violent gazes from his eye. Obviously, in his eyes, the two were already dead. Do Lin. Yuan Meixiang saw the triangular-eyed man and finally couldn't stop shaking her body. Yimo patted Zhang Jiayan, who was about to talk. When that Do Lin attacks me and when he gives his verdict, help me record things. Zhang Jiayan dazed. Although he didn't know what Yimo meant, he still took out his phone and nodded. Old F.A., how come you still haven't cuffed her? Handan, take these two murders away. Do Lin looked coldly at the brother and sister. You are Do Sin's brother, Do Lin? Your brother raped a woman and abused her and also sold organs. I think you helped out quite a lot, didn't you? Scum. Yimo walked out and stopped the triangular-eyed man, saying coldly. He only needed to look at Yuan Meixiang's expression and tone, and he would know that she didn't lie. She even avoided using extreme words. Originally, Do Lin was going to tell Yimo to piss off, but when he heard the word scum, he could no longer control his anger and kicked towards Yimo. Yimo sneered and kicked first onto Do Lin's Achilles tendon before patting his forehead. Then, he continued to ask, tell me everything. All the bad things you did being a police and who you harmed. Who would say the bad things they did? Just when everyone thought Yimo was dumb, Do Lin's eyes became dazed, and hearing Yimo's words, he murmured, I killed Captain Ba because he knew that I raped Dushi's daughter and he wanted to arrest me. I provide all the girls at the Jinko brothels. They are all girls from outside who come here to work. I have made a deal with T-Boss that it's 50-50 profit. Everything Do Lin said was bloody and gruesome. There were so many people in the carriage, but they all felt shivery. There was actually such an inhuman trash in this world. Yimo looked back at Zhang Jiayan and asked, did you record everything? Yes, I didn't expect these two brothers to be such bastards. They are worse than animals. I really want to kill him right now. Zhang Jiayan stared at Do Lin, who knelt down. His eyes were pouring with flames. Yimo smiled and pulled out a gun from somewhere and fired at Do Lin's forehead. He actually killed Do Lin in front of all these people. Silence. The entire carriage sunk into silence. Even if Do Lin could be sentenced to death 10,000 times, he couldn't be killed here. And this person carried a gun with him. You have a gun? After a moment, the fat policeman stared at Yimo and asked while taking a few steps back. Obviously, he was worried Yimo would attack him. Yimo looked at Handan, who came with Do Lin, and said coldly, I originally planned to kill you as well, but you still have some uses. If you can't provide me with important sources, I will still kill you. Although Handan had a gun, he was shaking and subconsciously nodded. Yimo then turned around and said to the fat police, indeed, I have a gun and I killed him. Show me document to the captain of this train. Then, Yimo took out his blue booklet and dumped it to the fat policeman. The fat police wasn't dumb. It was still incredible that Yimo dared to open fire in public despite he obtained the crime evidence first. After all, normal special agencies weren't allowed to do this, but this youth in front of him did. It could only mean that his background was absurdly strong, or his status was absurdly powerful. The fat police wasn't dumb. It was still incredible that Yimo dared to open fire in public despite he obtained the crime evidence first. After all, normal special agencies weren't allowed to do this, but this youth in front of him did. It could only mean that his background was absurdly strong, or his status was absurdly powerful. Those few policemen left quickly. They even took away Do Lin's body. They came and went really fast. Not only did Zhang Jiayan realize Yimo was no ordinary person, but the entire carriage knew. At that moment, the whole carriage became a lot more quiet. Zhang Jiayan had a lot of experiences. He took back his things and saluted to Yimo with his fists. Ye brother's actions are really satisfying. It's my honor to meet you. I thought ye brother was a business person. I'm really blind. Obviously, Zhang Jiayan knew that there were a few people who had the permit to kill. Yimo was undoubtedly one of them. But he knew that even if Yimo had a killing permit, he couldn't kill in public like this. That's why he said Yimo's actions were really satisfying. Those who had the killing permit were all the elite of the country. There's no way they would be doing business. Thus, he thought Yimo was lying to him before. Yimo waved his hand. Zhang brother, you applaud me too much. In fact, I quite like you despise of the wicked character. However, I'm not lying when I told you I was going to the border to do business. I really am going. Although I properly own a gun, it's only cooperation relationship. Yimo's simple sentence dropped a huge bombshell in Zhang Jiayan's heart. Cooperation relationship? Who had the ability to cooperate with a country? If what Yimo said was real, then his power would be absurd. The Yuan sister and brother still hadn't come to reality yet. They were still in shock and disbelief. Do Lin, who was so cocky, was just killed by the youth in front of them so easily. Even so, the youth still seemed to be conversing casually. At this moment, a fatter man ran over with Yimo's permit. Behind him followed the fat police. This fatter police came up to Yimo and saluted before giving back Yimo's document with both hands. I'm the captain of this VK-8977 train, Wan Yutian. Ye instructor, this is your document. Yimo took the document and asked for Zhang Jiayan's storage card and passed it to this fat police. This is Do Lin's verdict. Everything is clear. Pass this to the Beijing Police Department. Tell them I said this. As for the matter at Jingkou, I will ask about it next time I come back to Beijing. Yes, ye instructor. This fat train caption salute was very up to standard. Okay, the things here are done. I will take away the sister and brother. Their verdict has been heard by the other 3 policemen. Yimo said plainly. Seeing the captain take these few police away, Yimo sighed and his desire for power grew stronger. This was the benefit of authority. Without the document, no matter how strong he was, he could only leave after killing but not sit here safely and still not do things according to the rules. Although he knew that taking the 2 away was heavily against the rules, but no one said anything. At this moment, Yuan Meixiang realized what was going on. She didn't expect things to have such a twist, and never had she expected that she would be able to leave unscathed. In her excitement, she was about to kneel down to Yimo in gratitude. Yimo waved his hand. Just something small, no need for it. I heard you're a graduate of accounting and finance? Yes, after I graduated from the University of Finance, I was preparing to work at Jingkou. Then, I met that bastard. Yuan Meixiang spoke and still had anxiety in her eyes. Yimo nodded. I will go to do some business. If you have nowhere better to go, then help me do some finance. Of course, if you have a better place to go or need to go back, that's fine too. I'm sure they won't dare to come for you again. I'm willing to go do business with you, however, my brother needs to go to school. In order to find me, he has wasted 3 years of study. Yuan Meixiang's tone was filled with gratitude to Yimo. Okay, then you can follow Zhang brother from now on. After I see Feng Nan, I'll think about what to do in the future. As for your brother, he can stay at Guilin and go to school. Yimo was happy that he recruited a few on the train. Although he didn't know how good Yuan Meixiang was, but he quite approved of Zhang Jiayan. In a dark room in Guilin, Feng Nan was still lying on the bed, but now, there were only 3 henchmen left. Other than Rock and Xiao Tai who were loyal to him, there was that Xiaohua. Xiaohua was the one who met Yimo at Beijing. Nan brother, it has been a few months, but ye brother still hasn't come. Should we change places? Xiao Tai asked hesitantly. Rock and Xiaohua both weren't here. Only Xiao Tai was in the room looking after Feng Nan. Feng Nan understood Xiao Tai's words, because he didn't dare to show his face in Guilin or even go to the hospital. Plus, he didn't have money to go to the hospital. Xiao Tai's words meant that Yimo wasn't going to come and didn't want Feng Nan to keep waiting. Feng Nan shook his head. Xiaohua goes nearby the airport every day. He will be able to find you, brother. I believe you, brother. He isn't an ordinary person. He said he would come and help me, so he will. He hasn't come now because he's very busy. Nan, brother. Xiao Tai still wanted to say something but was stopped by Fong Nan. Fong Nan waved his hand and said, Xiao Tai, I know what you mean, but I still believe ye, brother. Only ye, brother, can cure my leg, and we will have a future only if we follow ye, brother. I won't say much more. I've seen too many people, but only ye, brother, deserves me to follow him. He's a true hero. Okay, since you Fong Nan look at me in such a way, I, Yimo, will give you your stage. Yimo's voice sounded at the door. Ye, brother. Fong Nan struggled to get up, and Xiao Tai quickly went to help hold Fong Nan. A youth behind Yimo squeezed in with excitement and said, Nan, brother, I finally found ye, brother, today. I told you ye, brother, would come. Thank you, Xiaohua. Fong Nan's excitement in his eyes were unquenchable like Xiaohua's. Zhang Jiayan and Yuan's siblings didn't expect Yimo's friend to be living in such a harsh place. There were putrid smells coming from the small room. This wasn't what the business they were expecting, but both of them didn't ask anything. They've only been with Yimo for a short time, but they knew Yimo wouldn't lie to them. Ye, brother, you're here? Rock carried a big pack and walked in with sweat. Seeing Yimo, he was also very joyful and surprised. They hid here arduously for half a year, just to wait for Yimo. Yimo nodded and took out a card and passed it to Zhang Jiayan and said, There's some money here. Go take some out and rent a better house. We'll talk after we change a place. Zhang Jiayan didn't expect the card Yimo gave him to have a few million. Seeing this amount, he was shocked. To be honest, he had never had so much money on his hands. He didn't expect Yimo to trust him so much, giving a few million to him so casually without even worrying about him doing something dodgy. Yimo was someone worth being connected with indeed. Zhang Jiayan made up his mind. He must get close with Yimo. Things were done fast with money. After switching a place, Yimo immediately treated Fong Nan's leg. Although he was damaged badly and dragged out for a long time, it took only a week's time in Yimo's hands. After a week, Fong Nan could already walk. Yimo, however, came to Zhang Jiayan privately. In his eyes, Zhang Jiayan had an advantage over Fong Nan and Yu Eru. Fong Nan couldn't change his gangster temperament. Although he would be able to reign supreme in one region, when things got big, he wouldn't be as meticulous as Zhang Jiayan. And Eru was worse than Fong Nan. Zhang, brother. Yimo just said 2 words and Zhang Jiayan waved his hand. Ye, brother, I really do look up to you now. You're the most capable person I have seen. You could make Fong Nan walk with that sort of heavy wound. To be honest, if I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it. If you approve of me, just call me Jiayan. Okay, I won't be polite then. You also saw Fong Nan. He's the leader of a gang at the borderland, Flowing Snake. But now, I'm planning for him to do some proper business for me at the borderlands. Of course, I will also need your help. Yimo saw that Zhang Jiayan was straightforward, and so he was also straightforward. Zhang Jiayan immediately stood up and said, Things should be like this. I came with you because I want to do things with you. I've retired from the army, but I'm still physically capable. Yimo shook his head and said, Due to some reasons, I need a lot of money now. So I need to establish a business empire and an enormous power corporation. This is just the start. You're not bad in kung fu, but compared to real strong people, you are still a far cry. I have an ancient martial arts cultivation method here. If you're interested, you can learn it or learn it with Fong Nan and his men. Yimo took out the cultivation method he got after killing Zheng Qingfa. Although it wasn't much use to Yimo, it had great use for Zhang Jiayan and Fong Nan. This is the legendary ancient martial arts secret? Zhang Jiayan was obviously not clueless like Fong Nan. As soon as Yimo took it out, he knew how important this was to him. After another week, Fong Nan's leg was pretty much fully recovered. He could even practice a few moves with Zhang Jiayan. Yuan Meixiang's face was also getting ruddier by the day. Yimo was prepared to take Fong Nan and Zhang Jiayan to Flowing Snake. After another week, Fong Nan's leg was pretty much fully recovered. He could even practice a few moves with Zhang Jiayan. Yuan Meixiang's face was also getting ruddier by the day. Yimo was prepared to take Fong Nan and Zhang Jian to Flowing Snake. Leaving behind Xiaohua and the Yuan siblings, Yimo took Fong Nan and Zhang Jian and others into Flowing Snake. Yimo also knew a bit about why Fong Nan was kicked out of Flowing Snake. Xiaohua told him before, and the main reason was due to him. Ning Qingxue went to find him, and in order to protect Ning Qingxue, Fong Nan had conflicts with Shiwei. Then when Qi Wanqing came to Flowing Snake, he went and taught Shiwei a lesson. These caused the hardship of Fong Nan. Where did the amphibian gang come from? Who was Shiwei? How could he make the amphibian gang attack for him? Yimo thought of this and questioned. Although he didn't hang in gangs, but he had heard of all the big gangs. How come he had never heard of this amphibian gang? Fong Nan said worriedly, "The amphibian gang is a branch of Nanqing. They are powerful and no one dares to mess with them. If you offend the amphibian gang, then death is your only fate. This time, we're not going to look for trouble with the amphibian gang. We just need to kick away Shiwei. Shiwei has a sister who is the lover of a vice gang leader of the amphibian gang. That's why he could mobilize the amphibian gang. But now, I heard that the gang has left Nanqing. I just don't know if it's real or false." As soon as Fong Nan finished, Zhang Jian frowned, and Yimo also sighed. This Fong Nan really was dumb. Were they going to get revenge and leave Flowing Snake immediately? If they don't leave, then they would have offended Shiwei again. Would his brother-in-law let Fong Nan go? Yimo didn't say anything, but Fong Nan woke up immediately and said in a troubled tone, "I'm afraid that if I do something to that Shiwei, then her brother-in-law would come again." Zhang Jian smiled and said, "That's for sure. I suggest we plan for the long term if we can't kill them in once." Although he didn't know how strong the amphibian gang was, Zhang Jian has heard of the big name of Nanqing. He knew that with their power, it was bullshit to fight with Nanqing. It wasn't that he was afraid of death. He needed to persuade them from doing some pointless thing. The amphibian gang could leave Nanqing, meaning that they weren't easy to deal with either. Yimo knew what Zhang Jian was thinking and smiled. "Jian, don't worry, others are afraid of Nanqing, but they are not a threat to me." He didn't even feel threatened by Nanqing. How much power did he have? Zhang Jian was shocked, but he still chose to believe Yimo. From his many years of experiences, he felt that Yimo wasn't the type to bluff. Fong Nan had this blind admiration to Yimo. Although he knew that the amphibian gang was hard to mess with, his first reaction wasn't the revenge of the amphibian gang, but now that he remembered who the backstone of the amphibian gang was, he felt troubled. No matter how much he admired Yimo, he didn't believe Yimo could beat Nanqing, who had an army. Although he heard that the amphibian gang wasn't a part of Nanqing anymore, this wasn't a verified fact. Fong Nan, haha, you actually didn't die. You dare to come back to Flowing Snake again. If I let you go today, you are my dad. As soon as Yimo walked into Flowing Snake Town, there was an extremely cocky sound. Fong Nan's face was very bad. He scanned this guy and turned around to Yimo. "You brother, this guy is Shiwei. They call him Echidna." Because there were a lot of interests in Flowing Snake. With the help of the amphibian gang, he was the person responsible at Flowing Snake. Yimo studied Shiwei. He seemed in his 30s and his eyes were bulging. It was obvious he had been too lustful, but his expression was very cocky. He still had 4 fearsome-looking henchmen behind him. "What are you looking at? I'll gouge out your eyes later," Shiwei said cruelly at Yimo. Then, he looked at Fong Nan. "If you tell me where are those 2 girls who came here last time, perhaps I'll let you live." "You are Echidna?" Yimo looked at Shiwei and was greatly disappointed. Regardless of whether this guy had support, Fong Nan couldn't even deal with this guy. Fong Nan wasn't really up to standard. If it was him, even if he didn't have the power to fight with Echidna, he would think of a way to kill this guy before he left Flowing Snake. Shiwei looked at Fong Nan and then looked at Yimo before finally understanding who was the boss. He walked in front of Yimo and waited to use his hand to lift Yimo's chin, but he only raised his hands about half an inch and had his whole arm severed by Yimo's wind blade. Yimo was no soft person. He came here to kill. Ag. A few seconds later, Shiwei finally yelled in pain and sat on the ground. He just lost an arm for no apparent reason. Fong Nan reacted first because he knew Yimo's power and didn't mind Yimo's killing actions at all. Zhang Jian also reacted and looked at Yimo with different eyes. Although he guessed that Yemo was an ancient martial artist when he gave him the cultivation method, he couldn't even tell when Yemo attacked just then or even see what knife Yemo used to sever Shiwei's arm. Kill him! Shiwei shrieked, and the four men also reacted. They pulled out their swords and charged at Yemo, Zhang Jiayan, and Fong, and also pulled the curved swords from their waists. But Yemo just shook his finger to them and sliced his hand in the air twice. 2 wind blades and 4 heads were chopped down. Until the heads fell to the ground, the 4 henchmen still ran a few steps forward before falling down next to Shiwei. Yemo's expression was plain. To him, killing a few people was no different than stepping on a few ants. Plus, he was about to start his first business in Flowing Snake, and he needed to kill. No one would give out Flowing Snake if he just spoke a few words. Fong Nin could still stay calm, but Zhang Jiayan was completely shocked. He had seen many masters, even yellow-level tertiary stage, but he had never seen someone as strong as Yemo. He only saw Yemo wave his hand quickly twice and didn't even see him take out any projectiles, and 4 people were killed. What shocked Zhang Jiayan more was Yemo's attitude towards killing. Before, he thought Yemo could stay calm after killing, probably due to the permit, but now, he knew Yemo's calm after killing had nothing to do with permit. For the first time, Zhang Jiayan felt he hadn't truly understood Yemo yet. He only saw the surface of Yemo. As for Yemo's origin and power, he only understood a little. Yemo was decisive in killing and knew what was important. He made him record the evidence first before killing Dolin. When he killed here, he didn't ask about anything. It could be seen that he was meticulous and not someone impulsive. Thinking about what he had been treated unfairly before, he thought that perhaps following Yemo, he would really be able to start a big career. Thinking about this, Zhang Jiayan started to get excited and made up his mind. Looking at Shiwei, who had already fainted, Yemo said to Fong Nan, "Bring him with us. We'll smash our way into Flowing Snake the most direct way." When Fong Nan's henchmen carried Shiwei into Flowing Snake, everyone knew that Fong Nan came back for revenge. Compared to Shiwei, Fong Nan knew Flowing Snake more thoroughly and had more connections. The reason Shiwei was able to stand on his feet at Flowing Snake was due to his brother-in-law. Otherwise, with his petty capabilities, he would have been devoured by others long ago. So, Yemo didn't even kill many people. He just killed more than 10 of Shiwei's loyal men, and the entire Flowing Snake was once again controlled by Fong Nan. Some of his lost henchmen came back again. Shiwei was dumped in front of Yemo like a dead dog. Fong Nan patted the blood stain on his body and spat on Shiwei before saying, "Ye brother, I've already interrogated. It's said that because Qin Longtu died in Nanxing is having internal conflicts, and it's now breaking apart. The amphibian gang declared independence due to that and no longer belongs to Nanxing. Their HQ is at the Sharp Sea Corner, and this guy's brother-in-law is already the leader of the gang." Sharp Corner Sea? Yemo thought he was going to go there before anyways. Half a year ago at Hong Kong, he heard about the internal conflicts at Nanxing. He didn't expect that it's still going on now. It seemed that he didn't need to go to Nanxing recently. He would wait after the conflict was over, and then go make himself a fortune. That Langji was really useless. He still wasn't able to control Nanxing. Shiwei woke up at this moment and happened to hear Fong Nan's words. He immediately understood that his situation was dire and quickly called, "Nan brother, have mercy. I'm willing to join Pu Dao gang. Spare me. If you kill me and my brother-in-law asks." Yemo frowned and said to Fong Nan, "Drag him out and finish him." Fong Nan dragged Shiwei, who was crying out loud without hesitation. Soon, that howling disappeared. Fong Nan walked in with some blood. "Ye brother, Rock and Shouty have gone out to appease the people. Flowing Snake would stabilize soon." Fong Nan also knew that Yemo was going to do things at Flowing Snake. To him, too many people were interested in Flowing Snake. If Yemo didn't intervene forcefully, he would soon be devoured whole. Yemo looked at Zhang Jiayan and Fong Nan and nodded and said, "Okay, Fong Nan, you need to listen more to Jiayan from now on. We will be doing a business, not a gang. Getting money by collecting protection payments and robbing others isn't the long way to go. Flowing Snake is just the start of our business. I believe our business will get bigger and better. What we need to do is that when people hear the product is from Flowing Snake, they would go buy it regardless of price. Yimo looked at Zhang Jian and Fong Nan and nodded and said, "Okay, Fong Nan, you need to listen more to Jian from now on. We will be doing a business, not a gang. Getting money by collecting protection payments and robbing others isn't the long way to go. Flowing Snake is just the start of our business. I believe our business will get bigger and better. What we need to do is that when people hear the product is from Flowing Snake, they would go buy it regardless of price." Zhang Jian's eyes gleamed with light. Although Yimo didn't describe some grand scheme, he didn't doubt Yimo's actions at all. "Yi brother, are we going to start a company?" Fong Nan wasn't an idiot and could tell that Yimo wanted to do a big business. Yimo nodded. "The first step is to start a company. Let's call it Luo Yu." Yimo thought for a moment and remembered that he came from Luo Yu continent. Looking at the gangster temperament in Fong Nan, Yimo laughed to himself, but he still needed to remind Fong Nan, "Fong Nan, we're doing legal business now. Don't do the previous things anymore. I want that when I came back to Flowing Snake, it is no longer a chaotic place. I want to build a real city. I think Jian will understand what I mean. You should listen to him more." Jian nodded and said, "I understand, but what will our first product be? We can't keep selling illegal products." Yimo knew this. The reason he wanted to establish Luo Yu was to help him accumulate wealth and search for the herbs around the world. His ultimate goal is still to help him cultivate. Luo Yu will be pharmaceutical. Of course, our main purpose is to collect all sorts of precious herbs. I have a detailed list here with some images. Jian can be responsible for this. From now on, Jian can manage Luo Yu. Yimo took out the list he drew already and gave it to Zhang Jian. "What about me, Yi brother?" Fong Nan asked hesitantly. "You will be responsible for the safety of the company. Once our company earns a lot of money, people will be jealous, so your job is to make Luo Yu absolutely safe." Yimo said immediately. Fong Nan didn't care about the title of the position. He just blindly followed Yimo. Now that Yimo assigned this to him, he immediately patted his chest in promise. Yimo then said to Zhang Jian, "I still have 2 disciples at Luotsang. They will be managing he products. When you have time, go to Luotsang and bring them over. As for Yuan siblings, you can also let them help." As for heart improvement serum and beauty pill and so, Yimo had already taught Eru. He believed that as long as there were enough materials, Eru would be able to push out these few products. After arranging these things, Yimo took out all the money in his bank and transferred it to Zhang Jian. Then, he left Flowing Snake. He had already established his followers. He believed that if he continued like this, Luo Yu would definitely be able to collect the herbs he needed, and it could be the business tycoon that shocked the world. Fall was harvest time, but not for all. The Song family was annihilated and diminishing, but this wasn't the biggest news. The biggest rupture was that the Xinjiang Chao family was massacred in one night. Being the 3rd largest family in China who had power in both Beijing and Xinjiang, most families could only admire it in awe. But now, with the Xinjiang Chao family being annihilated, the Beijing Chao family also fell down a cliff and was about to exit the 5 big family stage. The 5 big families of Beijing. The Song family was diminished. The Yi family was far from its glory days. The Chao family took such a heavy blow. The only ones who could still deserve to be part of the big families were the Zhang family and Li family. The annihilation of the Xinjiang Chao family also warned all the other major families that they were far from being indestructible. The Xinjiang Chao family was not without survivors. Chao Gang was one of the 3 lucky survivors. He listened to Yimo's suggestion but was reproached by his grandpa. However, Chao Gang believed that Yimo was no ordinary person, and Yimo gave him that feeling that Yimo was someone above the families. He didn't believe Yimo would say such thing to him for no reason. Although his grandpa Xiaozhen rebuked his words, he still secretly attached a few cameras and left Xinjiang. Chao Gang went back to Beijing and told what Yimo told him to his second grandpa Chao Xian. Chao Xian heard that it was Yimo's warning and was going to contact Xiaozhen immediately, but at this moment, he got news of Xinjiang Chao family being annihilated. When he got to Xinjiang, he found that all the surveillance had been destroyed except for the 3 cameras Chao Gang secretly put down. Xiao Xian looked at the surveillance record Xiao Gang took out inside. Those with great wisdom in the Qiao family were too little. If they could listen to Qiao Gang's words this time, the Xinjiang Qiao family wouldn't have such a big disaster. There was only 2 black-clothed men recorded. They both weren't tall, but when they killed the Qiao family people, they were like demons. Although the cameras didn't show everything, but Xiao Xian couldn't help shake. These people were so cruel. Second Grandpa, why? Why did they do this? They can just take the blood coral. Why would they still kill everyone? Xiao Gang's eyes were red. He couldn't understand. Xiao Xian sighed and turned off the video and stared at Xiao Gang for a long while before asking, "How do you know Yimo didn't do it?" Xiao Gang dazed. He didn't expect his grandpa to ask such a question, but a moment later, he immediately said, "I have a feeling that he isn't this sort of person. If he was, then he wouldn't remind me. And the 2 people on the screen are both much shorter than him." Xiao Xian nodded. "Tell me exactly what Yimo told you before." Xiao Gang reminisced and said, "He told me that if the blood coral was taken by the Cha family, they would be fine, but if any other families took it, nothing good would come out of it. He also said that the Cha family was a semi-hidden family and could contact the hidden sects. Then he asked me where the blood coral was found." Xiao Xian suddenly stood up and then sat down slowly after a moment while murmuring to himself, "The Cha family is actually a semi-hidden sect. No wonder this happened. Our Qiao family has no way to get revenge for this, Sai. Second Grandpa, let's give the tape to the police." Xiao Gang hadn't finished and was interrupted by Xiao Xian. "Xiao Gang, don't mention the tape and Cha family thing again, okay? If the Cha family is really a semi-hidden family, then it would be a suicide to hand the tape out. They have the power to annihilate the Beijing branch of our family as well." Xiao Xian said very seriously. Xiao Gang dazed and said after a while, "Second Grandpa, are we just going to let it go like that?" "Let it go?" Xiao Xian murmured and stared at Xiao Gang. "Xiao Gang, do you know which family is really the biggest family in China?" Before Xiao Gang could reply, he continued, "Sometimes, the greatness of a family isn't just about the political power. The biggest family of China is actually the Zhang family. It's said that the Zhang family has an extreme master, but that master never goes to the Zhang family, so people gradually forget about it. And the real second family is the Song family. The Song family hid their power extremely well. People maybe guess about the extreme master in the Zhang family, but the Song family definitely has yellow-level masters and not just one. Although our Qiao family is ranked 3rd, but in actual fact, we might be the last in the 5 great families." "Why do you say this, Grandpa?" Xiao Gang was confused. Xiao Xian shook his head and sighed. The Song and Yi family had conflict for so many years, but the Song family didn't do anything to the Yi family. Do you know why? It's because Yi family had a very strong help called Huang Yu. His long sword was invincible. But the Yi family destroyed themselves by kicking Yi Mo away, and this almost resulted in family annihilation. If it wasn't that the Song family also offended Yi Mo, perhaps there would be no Yi family in Beijing. They would have been long devoured by the Song family. Indeed, we have a common enemy, and other than him, no one else can help our Qiao family. Of course, we can just sit here and wait. Although we can't hand this tape to the police, we can go find General Han Zixin. He can help us, and he definitely wouldn't just let this go. Now, leave Beijing and find Yimo immediately. You don't need to worry about things here," Xiao Xian said. "Indeed, we have a common enemy, and other than him, no one else can help our Qiao family. Of course, we can just sit here and wait. Although we can't hand this tape to the police, we can go find General Han Zixin. He can help us, and he definitely wouldn't just let this go. Now, leave Beijing and find Yimo immediately. You don't need to worry about things here," Xiao Xian said. At the Sharp Corner Sea area, the amphibian gang was the authority. No one dared to say anything to them. They were at the border, and after recently leaving Nanqing, they had become even more stronger. With Nanqing not being able to take care of itself, the amphibian gang has completely controlled the borderland commerce. When Yimo arrived at Sharp Sea Corner, the leader of the gang, Wang Jio had a face full of killing intent, throwing a tantrum. Wang Jio killed the leader of the Ganghua Quan half a year ago and declared independence from Nanqing. With Nanqing State, they didn't even do anything to the amphibian gang. So now, the amphibian gang was growing steadily and Wang Jiu reigned supreme. Beside Wang Jio was an exceedingly busty woman who was rubbing her eyes and weeping. No matter who killed Shi Wei, I will make him die without a complete corpse. I will annihilate his entire family and cut his skin off inch by inch and feed it to dogs. Facing the woman beside him, Wang Jio was more furious. Then, he breathed heavily and took out a gun and slammed it on the table. Investigate. Even if it's the god of the heavens, I won't let him go. Chen Air, most of our brothers are here. Bring some brothers and head to Flowing Snake immediately. There were 50 to 60 people in the hall, and in the middle was a tied-up man. To be exact, the man wasn't tied up but nailed. His ligaments were all nailed to a wooden block. His head was sagging, and it was unknown if he was alive or dead. When Yimo came to the sharp corner C, he was also shocked by the amphibian gang. The headquarters was made almost like a 5-star hotel, full of luxurious decorations everywhere. Perhaps a few years later, the amphibian gang could start a business district. Bang! Yimo kicked open the door of the amphibian gang's biggest meeting room. Looking at Wang Jiu, who didn't even react yet, and sneered. You are the leader of the amphibian gang? You don't need to go find me. I've already come. Wang Jiu dazed for a moment and shot up. How dare you? You killed Shi Wei? You dare to show your face. Don't kill him. Capture him first. I'll teach him who's the real boss here. Misunderstanding, big brother. This is all a misunderstanding. Wang Jio could no longer hold the fear in his heart. He suddenly understood Yimo's meaning. Yimo sneered and walked to the nailed man. He raised his hand, and a few metal nails fell on his hands. He casually dumped the unconscious man aside and kicked Wang Jio. Wang Jio happened to smash into the wooden block, and Yimo's 4 nails shot perfectly into Wang Jio's 4 ligaments. Wang Jiu, who killed so many, actually fell unconscious. The wooden block he designed had countless people nailed on it, but today, it was himself. Looking at Wang Jiu, who had fainted, Yimo threw out another wind blade and his head was chopped off by half. It sunk by the wooden block. Yimo looked at the man he saved and fed him a few pills while using qi to treat him a little before leaving him there. If he was just looking for Wang Jiu's trouble, then he could leave now, but he had a company at Flowing Snake, so he needed to completely eradicate the amphibian gang from its roots. Yimo scanned out his spirit sense. There were amphibian gangsters around being boisterous and lustful. When his spirit sense scanned to an underground room tens of meters out, he was completely infuriated. That underground room was like a slaughterhouse. Multiple dead bodies were simply wrapped together. At this moment, that man saved by Yimo had woken up and he didn't even look at Yimo before saying, "The amphibian gang is human trafficking and selling organs." But he just said that and he fainted again. It was too easy on Wang Jiu to die like that. Yimo didn't continue searching. He walked out of the meeting room and started a carnage. This was the first time in his life that he killed people so cruelly. About 200 amphibian gangsters, not one escaped. They were all killed by Yimo. After this, Yimo finally felt relieved. He took that unconscious man and left the room. Then, he threw out tins of fireballs, and the originally grandiloquent manner of the amphibian gang was burned to nothing. Fire rose high in the air that could be seen even tens of kilometers away. An hour later, this man had awoken. Although he suffered heavy injuries before, this was nothing in Yimo's hands. He left there before the man woke up. Due to the high rising fire, soon, large amounts of police cars arrived. They saw a region of ruins and that man who barely got up. "Captain Wang, why are you here?" 2 policemen ran over. Obviously, they knew this man and he was actually a cop. The amphibian gang is full of sin, and when I was getting evidence, I was found by Wang Jia's men. I almost lost my life, but someone seemed to have saved me. As for who, I didn't see clearly. Report this immediately and immediately hunt the amphibian gangsters. The man saw his team here and finally felt relieved. Yemo stood by watching the police taking all the ones he missed out. With the help of the man, they went into the HQ of the amphibian gang to find evidence. He couldn't help but to sigh. He didn't expect the man he saved to be cop. Yemo stood by watching the police taking all the ones he missed out. With the help of the man, they went into the HQ of the amphibian gang to find evidence. He couldn't help but to sigh. He didn't expect the man he saved to be cop. He approved greatly of this policeman's courage, daring to go into the amphibian gang himself to search for evidence. This wasn't something an ordinary policeman dared to go. It seemed other than the corrupt ones. There were also hot-blooded men in the police force. However, his power was too weak, not even yellow level yet. Yemo didn't have a good impression of most cops, but this was an exception. He remembered the first time he met a policeman. He was schemed by that Huang Shu and taken into custody. It was Su Jingwen who got him out in the end. Su Jingwen. When Yemo thought of Su Jingwen, he felt warm at heart. Su Jingwen was one of the few friends he had. Other than Shirxiu, his only friend at Ninghai was Su Jingwen. He wondered how she was doing now. However, they were just friends. He went to Ninghai a few times, but he didn't have the intention to go see her. Su Jingwen was quite troubled right now. She really didn't feel anything towards Xie Weizheng, but she couldn't completely reject him. After all, they grew up together, and her mother was quite happy with Weizheng. Sometimes, Su Jingwen even thought she might as well go along with it, but thinking that she would be living with him for the rest of her life, she no longer had the courage to accept it. She thought about Ning Qingxue, and she really wanted to ask her how her relationship with Yemo was going. Thinking about that after coming to her birthday, Yemo never came to see her again, and Su Jingwen couldn't help to feel disappointed. But what she didn't expect was that when she came to Ning Qingshue's palsy, she found that Ning Qingxue had left Ninghai. She really didn't understand this. She knew that the reason Ning Qingxue stayed at Ninghai was due to Yemo. Su Jingwen didn't really believe that Ning Qingxue lost a year of memory. Su Jingwen took out the 2 bracelets Yemo gave her. One was given through Ning Qingxue, and another was given to her by Yemo on her birthday. The one given to her by Yemo only had 2 beads left, but she had the subconscious feeling that the 2 beaded coarse bracelet was more precious than the exquisite one Ning Qingshu gave her later, despite both of them came from Yemo. She suddenly admired Ning Qingxue. She did things however she liked. When Ning Qingxue asked her about how to use the charms, she knew that Ning Qingxue was going to do something dangerous. Later, Ning Qingxue came back with Yemo's bracelet. She knew that it must be related to Yemo. She could still remember the happiness of Ning Qingshue's face, and she was so pretty when she wore the necklace, really pretty. Her love for Yemo was almost written on her face. Why did she change so much in a mere few months? She left Ninghai without a word to you state? Could she really just put love aside like that? Su Jingwen felt the 2 beaded bracelet and suddenly remembered when Yemo danced with her. I seem to have a different feeling to him, Su Jingwen murmured, but soon shook her head. No, it's because he saved my mom's life. Thinking about this, Su Jingwen frowned. That wasn't right either. When she brought him out of the police station and made him dance with her, she didn't know Yemo was the charm master back then. She even only let Yemo sit in her car, and her cousin got angry over it. What was that? She wondered how Yemo was doing. Thinking about this, Su Jingwen suddenly had this irresistible urge and called Li Mumei. Mumei, I'm Jingwen. Imichim, I'm good. Did Qingxue go back to you state? Why? Su Jingwen felt this strange feeling as she listened to Li Mumei. Mumei, you said Yemo went to find Qingxue? What happened? Su Jingwen's voice became desperate and had the tone of worry. Perhaps in her heart, Yemo was not only her mother's savior but also her friend. I heard that he jumped off the building and spat out blood. There was no news of him afterwards. Li Mumei sighed and had this strange tone. Sometimes, she'd rather Qingxue to not have lost her memories. That way, she had more human emotions. But now, Ning Qingxue turned back to the indifferent beauty at Beijing. What? Jumped off the building? Su Jingwen almost dropped the phone on the ground. Li Mumei quickly explained, No, Yemo's quite strong. Yemo just jumped out of the window, but he probably climbed down the pipe, so he's fine. By the way, Jingwen, why are you asking about Yemo? Su Jingwen finally felt relieved, and hearing Li Mumei's question, she explained with a stutter. Oh, I just thought he really jumped off the building. It's fine. Just say hello to Qingxue for me. Li Mumei hung up the phone dubiously. As for saying hello to Qingxue for Jingwen, never mind. Qingxue and Jingwen only knew each other well in Qingxue's lost memories. Thinking about this, Li Mumei suddenly shook her hand and almost dropped her phone to the ground. She suddenly remembered that Ning Qingxue didn't lose 1 year of memory, but just everything that happened between her and Yimo. Why was it like this? This was too much of a coincidence. Su Jingwen put the phone down. She suddenly felt Ning Qingxue was too mean. How could she let Yimo jump off? No matter what, she shouldn't anger Yimo to the point of spitting blood. She didn't know how Yimo was doing now and began to worry for him. If she could find Yimo now, perhaps she would go to Yimo and comfort her. It's said that after losing love, both the body and heart would be very fatigued. She didn't know if Yimo would be like that. Would he do something stupid? Su Jingwen began to worry more, but she knew she wouldn't be able to find Yimo. No, she would set aside the matter with Xie Weizheng and ask about Yimo. He's not only her friend, but also her mother's savior. Even her mother wouldn't say anything about it. Yimo stood by the beach at the Sharpsea corner. This should be a very popular tourist spot, but after the amphibian gang came here, it became a ghost town. Those young masters who liked racing also played here because it was spacious and empty. There were still a few ships parked by a small dock. It probably belonged to the amphibian gang and a few jet skis. Yimo looked at the direction of the tide and searched for oil nearby. Those big tanks of oil couldn't fit in his ring, but he didn't want to put such things in his ring anyway. Thus, he could only pull a small boat behind the jet ski. He knew it wasn't just one-day thing to find the blood coral. After all the preparation was ready, Yimo then took off with a jet ski and started to search in the direction of the tide. He believed that if there was blood coral, there wouldn't just be one. Yimo decided to spend a month time to search for the blood coral. Although he had a blue flower blue leaf grass, it took too long to grow, and he gave it to Tang Beiwei. If he could find another blood coral, it wouldn't take him long to break through Qi gathering third stage. Yimo knew that the blood coral wouldn't be growing along the coast, so the first day, he drove the jet ski deep into the sea. Although his spirit sense could scan out 150 meters on land, but in the sea, it could only reach 50 meters. But this 50 meters was enough for Yimo. The region of sea with blood coral would have slightly higher spirit density. Although Yimo knew that this wasn't a completely accurate judging factor for blood coral, he had no better way to find it. After one day, Yimo didn't find anything at all, but this jet ski burned oil really fast. His 2 cartridges of oil wouldn't be enough for long. On the 6th day, Yimo finished 1 cartridge of oil and still didn't find any signs of the blood coral. Yimo was thinking if he was looking at the wrong place when he saw a small deserted island. It was probably more accurate to call this island a big coral area. There was only 20 acres on it. Yimo looked at this island and felt a familiar sense. He immediately remembered where he saw this. It was the sea map from the jade box given to him by Guotiming. Thinking about this, Yimo didn't hesitate and took out the sea map. Indeed, the island was exactly the same as the one on the map. However, the island was only one marker on the map. Other than the island, there was also a silver marking line which extended far into the sea. Yimo followed the mark and looked. According to the ratio, he might not be able to reach there even in a few months' time with his current speed. However, the island was only one marker on the map. Other than the island, there was also a silver marking line which extended far into the sea. Yimo followed the mark and looked. According to the ratio, he might not be able to reach there even in a few months' time with his current speed. Because the next marker was no longer in the bay but outside ocean. There were still markers outside the bay, and it was in the Indian Ocean. That wasn't even the final point. The final point was in the Antarctic Ocean. What Yimo didn't understand was, since it was a sea map, why not just mark the final point at the Antarctic Ocean? Why marked it to there point by point? If he didn't see this island by chance, he might really not be able to find it. According to this sea map, starting from this island, He will eventually find the final destination, but this map gave Emo great confusion. No matter what the person who left the map behind wanted to do, he wouldn't be able to reach there with this jet ski. He came for blood coral, and the island was a complete coincidence. Emo was thinking, would this island be connected to the blood coral he was trying to find, or was this map related to the blood coral? He knew that it was useless to keep searching, so Emo didn't continue. Even if he was to, he needed to wait until his economic power was sufficient so he can buy a big ship to find it. Or, a simpler way was to cultivate to Chi gathering level 4 and flying on his flying sword. Since he had come here, no matter what, Emo was going to have a look. Emo parked his jet ski at the island and dived underwater. Emo went down and the pressure increased, but even when Emo was in stage 2, this pressure wouldn't worry him, much less that he was in stage 3 now. The more Emo went now, the more he felt the island was shaped like an 8. His spirit sense could completely scan the bottom of the water. Emo circled the island, but didn't find anything suspicious, nor did he find any signs of blood coral. It seemed that this was just a normal island. A map with just an ordinary island. Emo really didn't understand. He didn't want to give up and kept circulating the island, but there was nothing special indeed. Emo was very disappointed, and he could only come back to the surface of the sea. Emo was surprised that the island and even his jet ski had just disappeared from the surface of the sea. Even Emo, who was a cultivator, had goosebumps on his head. Perhaps this was normal in the cultivation realm, but not on Earth. He just dived into the water from here. How did the island just suddenly disappear? Emo thought, and immediately dived into the water again. He searched where he searched before, and what made him relieved was that the island was found by him again. This time, he went up along the border of the sea. When he was about tens of meters to the surface of the sea, he found he was standing on the top of the island. It was impossible for the sea level to increase, so that meant the island was sinking. After the island sunk, his jet ski drifted away as well. This island could sink itself. What did he just encounter? According to this speed, the next time he came to search for this island, it would have disappeared already. Emo kept scanning his spirit sense around the island, and when he got to the waist, he finally found something wrong. The waist of the island was very smooth. Usually, it should be filled with coral. It can't be this smooth. This was very suspicious. Emo felt the island was still sinking, and he immediately came to the smooth surface and pressed. There was no reaction. Did he see wrong? This place definitely was different. Usually, he would be able to scan his spirit sense in a few meters, but at this place, he couldn't scan in at all. It seemed that this unknown type of rock could segregate even spirit sense. Emo took a curved sword from his ring and sliced on the smooth surface. Soon, he dug the stone out with the sword. Finally, Emo saw what was inside. It was a small box. It was artificial indeed. This smooth rock wasn't some precious thing. If this stone was sealed well, it could not only segregate spirit sense, but also water and fire. However, these stones were too little in amount. If there was enough, perhaps Emo would make a house out of this stone. Other than a jade box, there was nothing else in the stone box. Emo took out the jade box. It was the exact same type as the one Guatiming gave him. It was by the same person indeed. It seemed he found the right spot. Emo scanned his spirit sense inside the jade box. There was an incomplete yin-yang fish 8 trigram picture. To be exact, it was half or each. It was half a yin-yang fish and half of an 8 trigram. It seemed quite eerie. Emo looked for a while and still didn't get what it was. He could only take it away. At this moment, the island had sunk 100 meters down, and Emo came back to the surface of the sea. He didn't understand why the island was sinking, but if he was foundation establishment or higher, perhaps he would go down and see. But now, with his current state, that would be suicide. Luckily, he didn't gain nothing this time. Although he didn't find the blood coral, he found the place on the map and found a shard of yin-yang fish. But when Emo stood on the sea again, he was troubled. He didn't know where his jet ski went and couldn't scan it with his spirit sense. He couldn't fly on swords now, and it was too hard to swim back. Although he could find a wooden board and step on that to go back, but that would use too much spirit chi. Perhaps before he even got back on land, he would be exhausted. Now, he didn't have any pills to recover chi. If he wasted everything in the sea, perhaps a white shark could take his life. What made Emo depressed was that as soon as he thought about sharks, a ferocious shark swam towards him. It was very easy to kill this shark, and he only needed to use his flying sword and it would be done. But the flying sword was his baby. He usually didn't even want to use it to kill people, much less a shark. Emo took out a curved sword, and with one swing, that ferocious shark was decapitated. But immediately, Emo knew it wasn't good. He really shouldn't have killed it with a sword. The blood was too obvious. As soon as Emo thought about this, tens of sharks had started swarming towards Emo. Emo killed a few more, but the sharks were getting more and more. At this rate, no matter how much spirit chi he had, it would be wasted by the sharks. Emo no longer dared to kill sharks. If it was on the land, he could run, but in the sea, no matter how fast he was, he wouldn't be faster than sharks. Helplessly, Emo found one shark and just jumped on its back. This shark immediately started to swerve heavily and kept diving into deep water and wobbling in the seawater, wanting to shake Emo off, but Emo sat very sturdy. He thought, right, although the shark was ferocious, it couldn't do anything about the prey on its back. It kept going further and further away and gradually left the shark group. Seeing the distant shark swarm, Emo finally felt relieved. He finally escaped, otherwise, he could only go into the deep sea. Although the shark couldn't chase him to there, he would use up a lot of chi too. After all, that pressure was very strong. Just when Emo was about to let the shark go, he noticed that the shark was very fast. He thought perhaps he could use this shark as a ride. Not only did it not use oil, but it was fast. However, it just wasn't as comfortable sitting on it as the jet ski. Thinking about this, Emo tried to use the shark to turn. It took him a whole 2 hours with constant beating and spirit sense threatening that he could finally drive the shark as he wished. This was just a normal shark. If only it was a spirit beast. Emo thought of the bear cockroach he gave Chi Wanqing. Although that wasn't a spirit animal, but it could form the ownership pact. This shark couldn't because its intellect was far from that bear cockroach. Emo stood on the shark back for about an hour or two and felt something wasn't right. Although this shark could be used to travel and wasn't slow, it couldn't be used for a long time. Once the time got slightly longer, the shark would get tired. Although it looked really cool standing on the back of the shark, it was quite troublesome that it needed rest. Helplessly, Emo could only get some fishes to feed the shark and let it rest once every 2 hours. Despite this, a day later, the shark was getting slower and slower. Emo did think about getting another one, but thinking about how he still needed to train it for half a day, Emo lost interest. Oh my God, did I see right? I actually saw someone standing on the back of a shark riding on the sea. Oh God, China really is a magical country. A blonde girl with blue eyes held a telescope and exclaimed, "Oh my God, did I see right? I actually saw someone standing on the back of a shark riding on the sea. Oh God, China really is a magical country." A blonde girl with blue eyes held a telescope and exclaimed. The tall white man behind her laughed. "Lena, you like China so much. You also said that your Chinese friend knew a magical doctor, and now you see someone riding on the back of a shark." The man spread his hands out and joked, "Okay, when you see that person starting flying, then call me Uncle Jack. I really saw a man standing on the back of a shark, and he's coming over towards us." The girl called Lena didn't put the telescope down, but continued to exclaim as she watched. "Is it real? Today isn't April Fool's." This white man took a telescope and looked dubiously. As soon as Jack looked, he almost dropped his telescope on the ground. He really saw a person standing on the back of a shark riding in the sea. Oh God, it's actually real. China is too magical. Mr. Emo, your country is too magical. It was the right decision to come this time, even if we can't cooperate, but it's worth this magical scene. Jack, like Lena, didn't want to put the telescope down again. The man called Mr. Emo walked over curiously. "Lena, what are you guys talking about? I don't understand." The man suddenly stopped because even without the telescope, he saw a person on the back of a shark approaching rapidly from a few hundred meters away. Guillermo saw this cruise ship from a long way away, and thinking that he couldn't reach the land with the shark, so he wanted to hop on this ship. It's real. The MO man saw the fast-approaching shark. Guillermo was near the cruise ship in no time, and with a flying jump, he went from the back of the shark aboard the ship. Oh my God! He flew up here. Jack could no longer hold the telescope in his hands. Two Marines had walked over quickly with their weapons. They didn't see how Guillermo got on the ship, but they saw a stranger and immediately reported it to the captain. Lena came up in front of Guillermo with astonishment and said a bunch of words. Her face was red with excitement, but Guillermo didn't understand a single word. Jack saw Guillermo frown and quickly dragged Lena aside. Guillermo looked at the two black Marines but said to the MO guy, "My ship sunk in the sea. I'll borrow your ship to get to land." The MO man immediately said with joy, "Okay, that's fine. I'll tell the captain now." He thought Guillermo was a pirate, but even a pirate wouldn't attack here. However, Guillermo's words made him feel relieved completely and turned around to talk to the two Marines. The two Marines heard the man's words and looked at Guillermo once and said no more. They rushed inside the ship. Guillermo went to the corner of the ship and sat down. He closed his eyes and cultivated. Soon, he opened his eyes and asked that MO man, "What else is it?" "Hello. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm MO Hai, the manager for the Hong Kong MO Corporation. The captain wanted to see your identity documents." MO Hai said hesitantly. He wanted to get to know Guillermo, so he didn't really hide his origin. Guillermo nodded. There were a lot of foreigners here, and he didn't want to talk much. He took out his ID and gave it to MO Hai and said, "Sorry to trouble you. Where will the ship get to land?" "At the Hong Kong cruise ship docks." "Are you going to Hong Kong as well?" MO Hai was very polite with Guillermo. He saw Guillermo's powers with his own eyes. Lena ran over, however, and dragged MO Hai's sleeves. "Uncle MO, do you know him? Can you introduce him to me? I want to learn his magic." MO Hai smiled helplessly. "Lena, I don't know him. Great masters like him don't usually take disciples." Guillermo looked at MO Hai in surprise and thought that there were 3 people who saw him on the back of the shark. Other than this MO Hai, there were the other 2 foreigners. But those foreigners were extremely shocked, while MO Hai, although surprised, but was not as flabbergasted as those 2 foreigners. Did he usually see people like him? Thinking about this, Guillermo asked, "MO brother, have you seen people like me before?" MO Hai quickly shook his head and replied, "No, I've just heard my uncle say that our country has a lot of hidden families and they all have special powers. So, I know there are masters like you out there." MO Hai's tone was very polite, fearing to make Guillermo unhappy. So that was how it was. Guillermo nodded. It seemed this MO Hai's uncle was simple to be able to hear about the hidden families. MO Hai? Hong Kong as well. Was he related to MO Kong? If that was so, then it would be such a coincidence. Guillermo looked at MO Hai and smiled. "MO brother, I have a friend called MO Kong. He lives at Hong Kong Ching Quan Strait, Half Mountain Mansion. Do you know him?" "Huh, MO Kong is my uncle." MO Hai looked at Guillermo with joy. He didn't expect this person to know his uncle. Even he wasn't able to see his uncle whenever he liked. "So MO Kong is your uncle?" Guillermo nodded. He didn't talk, but he already understood why MO Hai wasn't that shocked seeing him ride sharks in the sea. He probably heard about the hidden sect things from MO Kong and thought he was from the hidden sections. Plus, even Han Zixin thought he was from the hidden sections. At this moment, a fat white man walked over with 2 Marines behind him. MO Kong quickly walked up and talked with the white man for a while and showed Mo's identity to the white man. Probably because MO Kang's status was quite high, the white man spoke a few sentences and brought the 2 Marines in and didn't walk over towards Guillermo. MO Kong ran over quickly and gave Mo's identity back to Guillermo and said, "So you are Dr. Yi. I've heard my uncle talk about you. You saved my uncle's life. It's really an honor to see you today. Mr. Yi, please have a sit in my room." Guillermo thought it was too obvious to sit at the head of the ship, so it would be better to go sit at MO Hai's place. Seeing Guillermo and MO Hai walk in, Lena quickly dragged Jack, wanting to follow. MO Hai looked helplessly at Jack, but Jack just shrugged his shoulders. Mo Hai said to Yemo apologetically. Lena's really innocent, but she doesn't understand Chinese. Jack is going to Hong Kong to discuss business with us. He's the manager from the Asian sector of the England Reuben Medicines. He's coming to Hong Kong under our invitation. Medicine company, Yemo thought about his company. Perhaps in the future, he can do business with this Brit. However, Yemo wasn't worried that he wouldn't be able to sell his products. In the future, only people will beg him. He won't beg others. The few people entered Mo Hai's room. Mo Hai quickly helped each people a cup of water. In his heart, although Jack was a moneymaker, Yemo's identity was more important. Of course, Mo Hai knew how important Yemo was in the heart of his uncle Mo Kong. Once he got Yemo's approval, Yemo only needed to say something, and he would be worth a lot more in his uncle's heart. My uncle has always been talking about you. Grandy, do you have time to go have a seat at my uncle's mansion? Mo Hai was getting more and more polite with Yemo. Yemo waved his hand and said, no need. I still have my things, by the way. Just call me Yemo. I'm not grand. Mo Hai laughed awkwardly, but soon he found a topic. Grandy, you are in the same generation as my uncle. Of course you're grand to me. However, have you heard about the two major things in mainland? Although we came from Australia, we've heard about these two things. Oh, what is it? Yemo asked subconsciously. The biggest thing is that the amphibian gang was annihilated in one night. Even the HQ was burnt. Another thing is that the Xinjiang Chow family was also exterminated in one night. It was said it was due to a blood quarrel. Mo Hai wanted to get closer to Yemo, so he found some big topics to increase the intimacy. What? Chow family was really exterminated? Yemo suddenly stood up. He couldn't calm down. It wasn't because that the Chow family was exterminated. Although he knew Chow Gang, but he already warned Chow Gang. What he cared about was the blood coral. Yemo knew how hard it was to find the blood coral after going into the sea. The blood coral was originally in the Chow family and he couldn't rob it, but now that it was robbed by someone else, what he was waiting for? In Yemo's eyes, the blood coral was taken by the Cha family 99%. The Cha family was with the Earth Fiend, and that was his enemy. If he didn't go rob it from the Cha family, he was an idiot. When was this? Yemo immediately asked. He didn't care if Mo Hai suspected him. Once he fought with Earth Fiend, this would be unveiled eventually. Getting the blood coral and getting stronger was the right path. Yemo's heart was on fire knowing that he could rob the blood coral. He wished he could go there immediately and rob it and then break through and go look for trouble with the Earth Fiend openly, telling them that they shouldn't have messed with him. Yemo. I heard it's been a week and it's being spreading everywhere in mainland. Haven't you heard about it, Qianbei? Mo Hai asked in surprise. I heard it's been a week and it's being spreading everywhere in mainland. Haven't you heard about it, Qianbei? Mo Hai asked in surprise. Yemo knew this was the time he went out searching for the blood coral. Now that Mo Hai said this, his heart was like burning. It had been a week. If these idiots just ate the blood coral or used it to make pills, then all would be gone. Thinking about this, Yemo couldn't help to blame his soft-heartedness. If he wasn't soft-hearted, since he knew that the Cha family would attack the Chow family, he could stay in Xinjiang, and after the Cha family annihilated the Chow family, he could be the fisherman standing at the back. But he knew that if he stayed in Xinjiang, he would stop them when the Cha family attacked. But still, it went against his heart. Other than Chow Gang, Yemo looked down on all the people in the Chow family. It went against his heart to save these people. Subconsciously, he didn't want the Chow family to be annihilated. After all, hoping a family to be annihilated for a herb was too bloody. But since this became true, he wouldn't hold back. What Yemo didn't expect was that it just happened right after he went into the sea. He was caught unprepared. He didn't know was it too late to do anything about it. Mo brother, which city is closest to us right now? Yemo asked desperately. Mo Hai quickly replied, the closest one should be South Sea Sanya City. If we go there, it will take less than a day, longer for Hong Kong. Less than a day? Yemo immediately got Mo Hai to point him a direction on the deck. If it really was that little distance, then he didn't need to stay on the ship. He only needed to ride a wooden board for half a day. Jack and Lena followed Yemo dumbly. Lena really wanted to ask Emo to learn magic, but she didn't understand Chinese. This made her determined to study Chinese when she went back. Emo saw that there was not much people on the deck and took out a wooden block from his ring and said to Emo, "Hi, I have a company that's also pharmaceutical related. You can talk to your uncle about it. If possible, we can cooperate, but my company just started. If you want to collaborate, you can go to Flowing Snake and talk about it with Zhang Jiayan. I'm still busy, so I won't say much. Goodbye." Then, Emo jumped into the sea, standing on the wooden board, and soon disappeared, leaving behind 3 people with their mouth open wide in shock. God. Jack couldn't say anything else. Emo followed the direction Emo High pointed, and it was only 2 hours, and the sky just got dark and he could see lights. This was Sanyan. Emo knew about Jiangnan Cha family. When Wu Guang told him, he asked about it. The city Cha family wasn't big. It was near Luotsang. It was originally a small city, but due to population growth, it changed into a medium city. The city was called Liangpu City. If he wanted to go there, he would need to fly to Luotsang first and then go from there. After so much time had passed, even Emo wasn't sure if the blood coral was still at the Cha family. If it really the Cha family who slaughtered the Chao family, then the blood coral might still be there. If it wasn't the Cha family, or if the Cha family worked with other hidden sects, then it might not be there anymore. The earliest flight from Sanya to Luotsang was at 7 a.m. Although he arrived in Sanya at night, he still needed to wait there overnight before going to Luotsang. Emo had no choice but to wait. Getting here from the sea, although he used his chi to dry his clothes and washed it with water, it was still uncomfortable after staying in the sea for so long. He found a hotel, showered, and changed a clean set of clothes before going out to get food. He'd only been eating grain these past few days. For the first time, he walked so casually on the street, finding a place to eat. If only Luoying was by his side. Emo thought of her and sighed. He knew this was dreaming. Emo walked to a big fast food block and ordered something casually and got a few bottles of beer. He felt the food was not bad here. Just when Emo was about to finish, a crisp girl voice interrupted him. You are Emo? Huh, it really is you. How are you here? The girl saw Emo look up and yelled in excitement. As soon as this girl yelled, Emo recognized her. Although he didn't know what she was called, but she was his schoolmate. He still had some impression. I'm Wang Yinming. Don't you know me? We've been in the same class for many years. To be honest, you changed so much. The girl spoke, and her tone was elated and excited. Emo was speechless. He never even talked much to this Wang Yinming. He didn't know why she was so excited, but since she said that, he could only smile and say, "Since you came, come and eat with me, my treat." Okay, then I won't be too polite. Then, Wang Yiming pulled the man and woman beside her down as well and said to Emo, "This is Lu Jia, my colleague, and this is my boyfriend Yu Tao." Yiming, this is your uni friend? He's quite handsome. Lu Jia was skinny. Although she wasn't plump, her face was very exquisite, and she studied Emo curiously. Emo felt his chin awkwardly. Due to cultivation, he had this ethereal, out-of-this-world temperament. In normal people's eyes, that meant he was handsome. In fact, in the cultivation realm, as long as you weren't too ugly, every guy was handsome and every girl was beautiful. Hello, I'm Yu Tao, Yiming's boyfriend. Nice to meet you. Yu Tao was a little introverted and average-looking, but he cared about Wang Yiming a lot. Emo nodded and shook hands with Yu Tao and ordered a few more dishes. Emo, you really changed a lot. Yin Yin was really blind. So pretentious. Of course Wang Yiming knew about Emo's past and felt unhappy for him now. Emo smiled. He already forgot about those sort of things and just said, "I've had quite a lot. You guys, are you working at Sanya?" "Yeah, after I graduated, I came to Sanya with Yu Tao. It's quite nice here. By the way, did you know that after you left, Yunbing asked about you? It seemed she was looking for you desperately." Wang Yiming talked non-stop. Although Emo didn't feel as elated as Wang Yiming, he knew how she was feeling. Emo thought about Shishio. Ever since leaving Ninghai University, he had never seen him again. This time, he could ask Wang Yiming about him. Lu Jiao poured herself a cup of beer, and was about to drink with Emo, but a small bug flew into her cup. Lu Jia exclaimed and quickly dropped the cup on the side. "Dumb bitch, you're asking to die." A ferocious voice sounded and a sturdy-looking bald youth wiped the beer from his clothes and slapped towards Lu Jia. Lu Jia was frightened and quickly retreated. This slap didn't hit her, but the youth obviously wasn't planning to let her go like that. "Sorry, I didn't do it on purpose. I'll pay you money." Lu Jia saw the tattoo on the youth's arm and was so scared she couldn't say complete sentences. Yu Tao wanted to stand up, but was pushed back by the two hoodlums beside the youth and was kicked. Wang Yiming held him but was full of worry. Yi Mo sighed. He couldn't even eat a proper meal. He walked over and grabbed the hand the youth was about to slap Lu Jia with. "Since she already apologized and your clothes only just got a little wet, there's no need to be like this. Who the fuck do you think you are? I'll let you know today." This ferocious youth saw that Emo dared to grab his wrist and was more furious. "Your mouth stinks." Emo raised his hand and slapped. Before this youth finished his words, 3 of his teeth was knocked out. He spun on the ground and smashed into the 2 youths behind him. The youth grabbed his mouth and his face started to swell. He muttered unclearly at Emo and said in a more ferocious tone, "You dare to hit me? You don't want to fucking live." Emo shook his head. He'd seen dumb ones but had never seen someone this dumb. He held back on that slap, but this guy was still acting up. Emo walked up and raised his leg and was about to give him another leg. "Friend, you're quite cruel. Why don't I, Shui Lu, got informed when someone like you came to Luang Jiao? If you got balls, kick him." A coarse voice sounded. Hearing this voice, that youth immediately said in joy, "Lu brother, help me get revenge." But before they both finished, Emo already kicked. And this youth spat out more teeth and could no longer talk. "Okay, you got balls. If I let you walk out of Luang Jiao, there's no need for me to stay here anymore." That coarse-voiced man growled. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.